Hey there, I'm Cyberchroma, and welcome back to another stream where I am not 100% set up just yet. That's how my 2-minute, 10-second timer ran out. So give me just another couple seconds and then we will get started. So we are going to be continuing to do some work on the Handyman with Unicycle. Did I say the title right? Hopefully that title did properly. I had some technical difficulties and stuff like that meant that I'm starting streaming a lot later than I usually planned, and am not doing what I thought I'd be doing today. I was planning on doing Subnautica today. Oh, also this. Hold on. Hold on. Just minor technical difficulties. It's fine. Good. Why is this kind of raised on? Yeah, something like that. Good enough. Okay. So today, instead of doing Subnautica, I think there's going to be a shorter stream, so we are doing some miscellaneous coding with Handyman with Unicycle. Let me zoom in on you. Look at this guy up close. Well, I quickly, what am I looking for? Over here, and this, and not that. Wait, yes, that, there, and bam. Bam. Okay, okay, I didn't start, music, go, that, go, this, everything seems good. We are rolling. Yeah, possibly, probably. Yes. Okay, so, I'm a bit of a mess right now, because technical difficulties and figuring out what it is that we're actually doing and, what we're going to be attempting to do today. I mean, short version, picking up where we left off with our camera issues that we were having, which are a thing. I believe this, if I go upside down, everything breaks to the highest degree. Yeah, so like we need to have that not happen. We'll get there. I don't even remember any of the camera code that we wrote last time that we were doing this. So I'm gonna have to go remember all that, and if I figure out why we left off having some problems, I gotta remember what those problems were. And I was hoping to do more Googling and research in the meantime, between last stream we were doing this and now, but didn't get time to do that. Also, wasn't planning on doing this today, but here we are. Before we do that, a thing that I was trying to set up, or I wanted to set up today, and then, well, didn't get the time to, and wanted to just, where did my mouse go? That's a bit of, my mouse is running out of batteries. Is it? Why is my mouse just, where did my mouse go? I'm literally just, well, that's fantastic. Oh boy, well, hold on. I was about to say that, where, I'm literally, did my mouse just die? It might have. Hold on, what? I see the light. It should be fine. Let me just take out and put back in the battery for a second. Just kind of hope that fixes whatever the heck's going on. What I was about to say is I wanted to add another button to my stream deck, and there we. Oh, it was clicked into the game. I'm a moron. I forgot that. I need to like turn that off temporarily while testing. Usually, actually, don't I have a thing that? I think I might have actually put in a thing somewhere. Debug don't lock mouse. Yeah, that. So now that should, yeah, I can see the mouse, because right now we're not even doing anything in the game that does that. So yeah, good on past me making that boolean. Bad on present day me forgetting that it existed. Okay, so I wanted to add a new button to my stream deck that has to do with this baby. I want to have a thing where if I have a Rubik's Cube, and occasionally, also, I'm slightly off to the side. I want to be staying here. I want this to be facing slightly this way. I want to, well, I have a cord that this is plugged into computer, and I want to be able to, if I'm selling the cube on stream, have like a timer on screen somewhere. Actually, well, now that I'm saying that out loud, that's going to involve a lot of OBS messing around and stuff. Maybe I'll do some of it now, bare minimum, and I'll like clean it up off stream when I can more so mess with OBS and have that not be an issue to be doing mid-stream. But over here, this is a website that this thing can connect to. So if I'm mid doing some solve, I can be like, ready, go, do some scrambling, woo, and bam, oh, world record, 2 seconds, right? So I can, yeah, do that, and then like you guys can have a way of seeing the timer on screen. I could maybe just for a right now thing, I could just set up a stream deck button that literally just launches this webpage. That would be the easiest thing. And then eventually I'd like to set up a different scene in OBS probably that makes like my webcam a bit bigger and like the timer is more small and off to the side. Actually, I could literally just swap. Ooh, maybe that's what I do is literally, so how I'm up in the top corner and that's over there, I literally just swap it. So I'm taking up over there and the timer is where I am right now. That actually might be easier to set up formatting wise, possibly. Let's say unplug. If I unplug this and immediately, oh no, never mind. I thought if it unplugged it would like clear or something. That did not happen. I also am actually getting a different cord than this. I tried to get a more, so this thing, like this, when I bought it, it didn't come with a cord, so I tried to get a like off-brand cord. But with how curly it is, this being so curly is being a mess. It initially came with it being like, you know, well, not as stretched out as this. It was like fully curled up and would not want to not be that way. So I experimented with, oh, that's the wrong side. Turns out if you dip a cord like this in boiling water, it can help it lengthen or like not be all trying to stay curly. But it didn't, kind of help, but not that much. And then on top of that, this particular cord, it's actually not, so there's a thing, I don't know if you can even see it. Yeah. Cord is supposed to be able to feed through this so that this can be flat. But this off-brand cord is too thick to like go through that. So, you know, that's funky. And then before this, before I got this, I tried to just get the type of cord I thought I needed from the dollar store, and then it was slightly the wrong size. Where this is an audio jack cable, where like that one side needs to be 3.5 millimeters, which is like the standard, but the side that goes in here is not 3.5, it is 2.5. It's smaller for what needs to go in here. So, yeah, that's trying to use or like off-brand, like whatever cheaper things has continued to mess me over. So I've caved and I went and bought an actual proper official of the cord that I need. So that's going to arrive in a couple days and then I can have this be proper. Because even right now it's feeding like this side of the desk. I'd like it to be going the other side of the desk, but this cord ain't long enough for that. It would be, hypothetically, if it was fully straightened out, but it will not straighten out without ripping up the cord. So anyways, that's stuff I've been messing around with. Because in my free time, I've been doing more messing around with Rubik's Cube solving and attempting to get faster at it. And we'll eventually, a couple streams from now, probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, do a like full Rubik's Cube solving stream is the thing I want to do. But anyways, real quick, the thing I was saying I wanted to do is just like, what's the quickest way, actually be how my music thing is. Ooh, if I just copy it and paste it. Right now I have, this thing is a thing that just launches a web page, website, whatever, blam. So I literally just, yeah, that's probably gonna work well enough. And then Rubik's Cube, which I'm not gonna, you're gonna go here. Yeah, I can make it look prettier and whatever eventually, yeah, later on. It'd be cool if it could interact with this website and like generate a new scramble. Actually, does this, let me just remind myself, does it, when it goes, oh, it's no longer going. Do I have to refresh the website if I unplug this? Is that really a thing? That might be a thing. Oh no, that makes it more annoying and more me wanting to get better cord. Let me just, oh, no, I have to reset it and then go, yeah, and then you're going, oh, I didn't realize this all clears when it's going. Interesting how that does that. Does it automatically generate a new scramble each time? That's not a button for that. I'm still also even just experimenting with the ins and outs of this website. And I know you can like customize a lot of like the formatting and what's on the screen where and stuff like that, I think. But I'm, yeah, fine right now, leaving everything to be defaults. Oh, that's cool that that's that. Ooh, whoa. Funky. Is it, wow. Whoa, I have no idea what all this is, but it looks cool. How do I go back to whatever the default stuff was? Oh, it has the solve cross thing. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, actually, there's a lot of stuff in here that's potentially very helpful for my, yeah, mess around with stuff. What was the default? I thought the default was 3x3 something, but I don't know anymore. Whatever, it could be. That's fine. Oh yeah, I'll mess with this later. But at the very the very basic sense, I have a button that launches the West website. I have to hit OK to that. I guess that's fine. I don't know if there's stuff I can configure to not have to do that every time. But anyways, that's stuff I can mess around with on my own. Let me just real quick Come on. Change you to just any other icon that's not. Just take a default thing for now. Something that, you know, Windows symbol looks enough like it's multicolored like a Rubik's Cube. That's fine. Anyways, yeah, I'll do more setting up of that on my own, but I just wanted to just do that real quick. Just, yeah, because, and you know what? Because I bothered spending the time to set that up, I'm gonna, oh, you're gonna launch on my other monitor. Okay. Yikes. I'm gonna do a little bit of this. Bam, and where is... Bam, and bam! Haha! Oh, someone redeemed some Rubik's Cube. I didn't have to do that, but I did. Here we are. Yeah, just do this just to test this out, I guess, just for funsies. I guess I'm gonna be small in the corner with this. I'm not gonna... I'll eventually clean this up and have this be better, but whatever. And I'll actually use this. Or will attempt to, anyway. Oh, I guess I should be doing the solve, hypothetically, to have the most, you know, equal stuff. Whatever, it's fine. I'll just... Wham. So, okay, this be the cube that we're going with. Ooh, this actually has... Never mind. It has two pieces of the cross solve, but not in the right places. So, I'll have to deal with that, but that's fine, I guess. So it's normal, standard Rubik's Cube solvingness to, like, at competitions. One, you'll get the cube initially with it being white face forward, green face up. But it's, or sorry, green face forward, white face up is what I meant to say. When you're doing the Rubik's Cube, you know, the World Cubing Association competition stuff, you get 15 seconds to look at the cube, and then you have to solve it. I'm not obliging, but I'm going to look at the cube and mainly plan out the cross, and once I finish that, then we're going to do this. And I'm going to take more than 15 seconds, because I'm still learning, trying to get better at this. It's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna do, oh, that sucks. Why is that like that? Well, no, I go blah, blah, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. It's a 6-move cross. It could probably do better than that, but whatever. We're going to do that. All right, so we're going to actually do this. And then after this, then we'll get underway with actual coding and stuff. Ready? 3, 2, I forgot what turns I'm making. Oh, no. Wait, before I actually start the timer, I just need to find that. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go! And, blam, blam, bam. And, okay, cross done. Don't mind me messing with that, and a little bit of... Ooh, not like that. Hold on. Wow, damn, messing up everything. That's fine, don't worry about it. Bam, and, something like that, and then, that onto OLL, which can do a little bit of something like this, and a little bit something like this, and then, PLL, which is gonna look something like, oh, why'd I get the H thing? It's fine, ready, 3, 2, 1. 47! Yeah, I mean, like, I act like I'm being super slow. 47 isn't a terrible time, it's under a minute, which is cool, but I have so much more improvement that I know I can do with, like, getting faster at F2L is the main thing I want to do. And right now I do a more beginner way of doing OLL and PLL that are end stage Rubik's Cube solving technique thing, but the stuff I need to get way better at with that, but I'm getting there. Main thing I'm working on practicing right now is planning the cross efficiently and fast, and then I'll be moving on to improve more stuff with F2L, and then after that doing more with I basically, the 4 main stages of solving a Rubik's Cube with a very popular method that people use. I'm sort of going through each of them and trying to, like, improve a lot one after the other. When I get to OLL and PLL, the ways I want to improve that are going to involve me having to learn like 57 plus 26 or so algorithms that some I already know, so slightly less than that, and that's going to be a thing. That's just like mainly pure like memorization and then be able to spot the cases and execute them. With cross and F2L, it's a lot more, well, some algorithm memorizing, but mostly intuition and whatever. Anyways, enough with this. That's good for a test of that. I'm even gonna move this off to the side. All right. Also, we're gonna lower the desk, which I hope the camera stuff was set up with that. I also today made another change to my setup with rearranging things. So For the last couple streams, I was streaming on a different monitor, the monitor that is now over here. I made a swap. So, you know what? This is best explained with paint. So I have a funky situation where I have, well, 3 monitors. Not just that. I have 2 4K monitors and 1 1920 1080p monitor. And when well, like it's like a month ago, for most of January, they were set up like big one, big one, big one, and then small one. And this is the one that had OBS chat stuff. This is the one that was mainly streamed on. This was other one that was off to the side that had like whatever, and you know, outside of streaming, you know, code and Unity, like whatever. I initially then thought, like, when I took my week off, like, break in the beginning of February, I thought it'd be a good idea to change so that the monitor that's being streamed is this one, which is a, like, lower quality, older monitor, but it's a 1920 1080p one, which is 90% of the people watching, like on Twitch, like, 90% of streamers, like, the resolution that you stream at is 1920 1080p. That's, like, the standard. So I thought that streaming to this one would be better for, like, performance and, like, whatever. But I still wanted the monitor that I was using being the center one. So for the last little bit, I basically had my monitor set up like... This is an exaggeration, but of the sizes. I mean, the size of this versus the size of this is not that different. But just, like, as far as if you go into, like, display... as far as this is concerned with the resolution difference, it looks like it's a lot different. The point that I'm getting at is this was in theory better for, like, you know, Twitch or whatever, but it's been causing me a bunch of technical issues. Windows does not like having monitors of different sizes configured weirdly like this. I think if I had all 1920 1080p monitors or all 4K monitors, it would be happier with that. But trying to be like, you know, the big one, small one, big one, has been causing me just a bunch of little miscellaneous tech issues. Even in Unity, in yesterday's stream in Unity, you could see some of that, where, as an example, if, you know, in Unity, I go to, you know, click... Actually, yeah, if I go to click this and, like, here's some stuff. This drop-down menu wasn't appearing here. It was, like, appearing over to the side on other monitors. So, like, right now, monitor OBS is on. It was just appearing, like, in the middle of the screen there for some reason. It was just doing weird positioning stuff with, like, these extra windows that were popping up. Or if I go to mess with any color field, if I do this, this thing was appearing, like, way over here on this monitor. And it was doing that consistently for some reason. Like, that, yeah, it was being weird. And then there was, like, a bunch of, like, other little small things like that. So I've reverted back to, well, kind of, I guess now I have this one over here. Basically, I swapped these two. So yeah, I'm back on a 4K monitor as far as what you guys are seeing. And that, undoes the reason why I switched to the thing initially, but it's just, I don't know. For some reason, having the small one not be the middle one, right, I'm not having a lot of these tech issues, so that's good, I guess. But the thing I was also worried about is that some games, because I play a lot of older games, like, or, you know, we were playing, like, you know, Doom and, that one, Alice Managed to Turn game. And I guess, like, not old with some of them, like, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, it's, like, older, but not, like, Doom old. Some games like that have some weird, like, UI scaling issues when you're on not you know, proper resolutions. Like, on a 4K monitor, like, some UI stuff and, like, text will be a lot smaller or whatever. So I thought, like, to be able to play some games with it being more as it's meant to be, playing on a 1920 1080p monitor would be better. But, yeah, the trade-off with technical issues is, like, both versions, like, both ways of how I'm trying to have my setup is having pros and cons. And right now, this seems to be what's having me the most pros with the least cons. So that's what we're going with. Whether I swap... go back to how it originally was. Like, right now we got small one, big one, big one. Whether I swap these, I might do. I'm unsure. I'll have to mess with the actual cords on my desk and plugged into outlets and all that stuff, but I'll figure that out. I just thought I'd mention that because I just did that, like, 2 hours ago. I was swapping that stuff around because it's something I was meaning to do. Especially the thing that we were going to do a Unity stream today, I wanted to fix, because the main thing that it was affecting was Unity being weirder, so I wanted to mess with that. Yeah, before this stream of doing the Handyman with Unicycle stuff. So yeah, anyways, that's that. What else have I got to ramble about? Possibly many other things, but let's maybe see if we can transition into, yeah, some stuff with the actual, with this, what we're doing and where we left off. So first thing, kind of, is that I have to remember where we left off. I do remember that. So I used to have this a camera system that was made up of a bunch of different objects, a bunch of different scripts doing different things. We've overhauled that. It's still in the process of kind of being overhauled. In that now I just have one script called player camera follow, and then I have the player move stuff. Some stuff with the player is split up into a few different scripts, but I initially I thought that I could get away with like different parts of the camera could be controlled with different like independent systems that all just run together and then get the camera behavior that I want. Instead, now a lot of the different bits of camera things are more working in conjunction with each other, so having it be all as one script makes more sense for what we're trying to do. But it's also not done yet, so we'll see how that changes. Also, just fundamentally, we changed how the camera kind of works. Oh, it's not done yet, also. This is not all of what it's going to look like, but it's an interesting start that is definitely kind of cool. So currently we have our camera here. Ignore, there's this doesn't really matter in this scene. These other two cameras that render other like things on their own. So just, you can pretend for all intents and purposes that this is just one object, no child things, as far as what we're doing right now. So it just has this camera player follow. All the other scripts are disabled. And instead of having a camera pivot that I usually go with a lot in the past, we just have this main camera and the player, and it does all the calculations that it needs to do to figure out where it should be and how it should turn and blah, blah, blah. So, now I gotta remember where we actually left off with this, and I know we were having lots of issues, many issues. So much though, so that I went and also set up this between last stream and now, where been looking at some other like 3D platformer type things that have different examples of how cameras move, or have some good examples of what the kind of some of the behavior that I'm trying to emulate with 3D platformer camera stuff. So I might open some of these. I mean, none of these have any save files set up, so ideally like things that I can quickly like be in the opening area and run around. I don't think I'm going any lengthy cutscenes or things to like get to what I want to actually mess around with. You may notice that, I mean, like, okay, Crash Nitro Kart isn't a it isn't a 3D platformer per se, but it's a 3D game where I was maybe an example I might look at is like, oh yeah, you drive around, but you kind of drive around like a hub world and you're not in the races. Like, how does that camera behave? There's things I might look at to get like, I don't know, get ideas of what things I can conceptually copy to figure out how I want my camera to behave. And I'll just figure out like how, to theorize looking at like the intricacies of a camera from an actual game and like, oh, how might they have done that? Oh, okay, I have some ideas. Now let me apply them and see if I can, you know, get them working. Anyways, in a Unity context, of course, right? Like, none of these games were made in Unity, obviously, but talking about more like conceptual things. Yeah. So, where we are right now, I was partially focusing on how the camera moves on the ground, but I need to eventually care about when you're on slopes and stuff. Oh, even like this, it's like, you know, weird and jittery. Oh, right. I was about to say I don't immediately remember why it is jittery on surfaces. Because part of how we coded this system of how the camera turns around as you move, it like, you know, turns in the direction that you're facing, which is a common behavior of some 3D platformers that I wanted to emulate. There's also this weird thing, which actually, I don't remember if this is my controller or not. If I... Let me just test something real quick. Actually, I could test it in a game. Let's launch... let's launch Mario Sunshine real quick. Let me just... bam. And we're gonna mute this real quick so that just... Oh, that looks like it's being loud. I apologize. Let me just, quickly... or I guess it's not actually that loud, but anyway. I was gonna mute that real quick. Also, it is tiny. If I can just... well, we'll see. Real quick, I just actually want to... Oh, wait, actually, I don't know if I have... Actually, I don't think I have a controller stuff set up with this. I might quickly do that because, to some degree, I want to be testing... like just testing on, like, keyboard and mouse. If stuff is, like, good enough, might be fine. But testing on... Having a controller actually work would be the best... Like... Because I want to be able to test, like, oh, you know, if we're moving in slightly different angles or whatever, just seeing how some of these cameras behave. for stuff like that. Might be good for me to do. Real quick, I don't know why this isn't, is it this gonna be, or, didn't I set up one of these a while ago? I don't remember. I should be seeing this move if, and I saw the game itself was moving. I don't want to spend too much time doing this, but if I, oh no, I don't want to, not escape, hold on. Didn't I know I've used this controller with this before. I don't remember what stuff I specifically had to do to get this working, but I believe I do remember it having some amount of issues. If I do, no, hold on. Okay, if this, if this takes too long to set up, I might bail on this and just go with normal keyboard input. Nope, not that, hold on. Oh, even you're not responding now. Oh no, you were, okay. Why are you frozen? Okay, how about cooperate? That'd be fantastic. Is it, actually, I don't know if it's related to the fact that I have game open. Let me just close Mario Sunshine real quick. Why are you frozen? Oh, that's probably not a good sign. Let me just, I don't know if it'll matter at all to just refresh you. See, this kind of stuff I would have tested before stream if I had more time before stream to set these things up. How did I forget what, like, hopefully simple thing I have to do to get this to work. I thought that, like, one of these, it would just detect this and have it, let me do a brief bit of Googling. I don't want to be spending too long on this, but for now, hopefully that'll be fine. Dolphin emulator, Xbox, Xbox controller. Cause I think last time I used it on my other computer. That's what I'm thinking of. Like, I had stuff with this setup before on my other computer, before I changed it. I believe I had, like, profiles set and all that. Not anymore. So apparently, well, this should be it, but I'm not. Oh, wait, it's just going. Oh, I just didn't, oh. Okay. Well, wait, let me just, can I have both at the same time? I guess not easily, right? Well, this would be, yeah, have multiplayer stuff. Let me just, make a profile that's gonna be, controller. Oh, okay, so this is, yeah, working if I just do this. Okay, so we're just gonna real quick do up, down, left, right. That's not up. What? Oh, no, right stick up. Yeah, okay, never mind. That's fine. Okay, just real quick. Cause that, yeah, this just, yeah, will help with things. Is modifier pressing in the button? I guess that's not really a thing in. Oops. Oh, don't mess that up. On, you know, GameCube, but whatever. I'll just do that anyway. Anyway. L. That's gonna be the bumpers. The triggers. Our. Anyway, whatever, it's fine. And then blam, and then. Right, okay, technically, this will be slightly different on GameCube. Like, if I wanted to match this to. Actually, if I did want to match this to GameCube buttons. Well. No, okay, technically, you know, if you look at a GameCube controller. GameCube controller. You know, they look like this. Where, do I want to match these to these and not match these buttons, or will that be more of a pain? Yeah, no, we'll match. Yeah, we'll see if I regret this. So A being the button B being the button A, X being, oh, X is more on the side. Oh, wait, hold on. I go Y being top, which is Y, X being button at the side, which is B, A being, B being X, and then A being A, maybe? We'll see. I can change that if I decide that I need to. Z being oh, not that. That being that. Start being this. D-pad, yeah. Real quick. Almost done here. Just blam blam blam. And I don't remember if. Don't I forget what analog does here. Oh, that's to be able to have this be partially down, right? If I do, Because, like, Mario Sunshine, for example, yeah, I can have partial things. Yeah. Okay, right. That's cool. I forgot that that can be a thing. Do you actually have a... Whoa. Does this have a... That, like, actually have... No? Whoa! It does! Wow. I have no reason to turn on Rumble, but we're gonna do it anyway, because, yeah, okay. Controller, save. And then while I'm at it, I just want to make the... Oh, wait. If I go default as whatever these, I just want to save that as keyboard. Just, I don't know, easily switch between the two and save that, right? And now it's this, I can load. Okay, cool. Sorry that took so long, but less that I have to do later. Mario Sunshine, launch that. And I'm only, to recap, I'm doing this to look at an example of a more properly done professional 3D camera and then comparing it to what I got. And we might do that between a couple games and looking at a few examples of things that are slightly different between 3 different games and deciding what's the thing that's going to be best suited for my game. And we're basically just going to be looking at, like, opening areas of games. I'm not going to be, you know, playing through... I mean, I can do, like, the first star in this just to be in, like, the main hub there. I don't know if you know, but... We'll see. Even, like, Hit and Run is, like, a driving game, but it's... You do run around in it a decent bit. Oh, skip cutscene. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see if I regret my button choices. But, for now, hopefully it'll be fine. Okay, let me just quickly go through this stuff. Obviously, camera in here is not what I care about. Do I actually... I don't... You know, turn on subtitles. Not that this matters. Turn Rumble on. This is not important. I'm wasting time on things that don't matter. Also, I know this is not, like, full screen or whatever. That's fine. Have some of the programming stuff in the background, so you know this is a programming stream and not a... Oh, right, this game starts with this long, super long and unskippable cutscenes. You know what? We'll let that play off to the side. We're not doing a Mario Sunshine playthrough. Make sure it doesn't accidentally don't have it crash or something. Let me actually go through the code and remind myself how this actually works. And I see I have some commented out code. Right. So, we have things for camera smoothing, a camera that the distance it is away in a straight line, so it's not like a Pythagorean theorem thing. It's like the camera sort of angles and then goes back. So this is the distance from the camera to its, not to the player's base, but to the distance to, like, its this look height, essentially. So 2 meters above the player's base is, yeah. Vertical angle is gonna, you know, or up, down. That right now is just, actually right now I think it does nothing. I think it's, vertical angle is 30 and doesn't have anything that changes it. The horizontal angle has more stuff going on when you move left and right. Cutscene is over. Yeah, cutscene's over there. Look height is that, like, obviously we're not looking at the player's feet, we're looking at the player's face. Usually in platformers you have where it's looking slightly above the player, so there's that. Horizontal correction speed. Oh, that has to do with when you move left and right, the camera kind of is meant to sort of start to trail behind where the player, where you're going, so it's like how fast that happens. References to the player and the player's rigid body, which these might be able to be turned into one reference if a player beat up, transformed or something. I don't know, but that's fine. Where the camera is facing, where the position that it's kind of meant to look at, and then the position of the camera itself. And then, oh, we are using this, the angle that it had last frame, or the, player angle. Yeah, okay. So then in fixed update, every frame, we, to decide the look position, yeah, so that we take the player's position, add the height, which this right now is fixed going up. Eventually, I want this to change to be like, if the player is slightly sideways, you know, go up in that direction, but we'll get there. And then, wait. Oh, that's, you know, okay, that's where it should go, and then it's like lerp towards that position, so we have this smooth following of the player as they're moving left and right. Yep, that makes sense. And then we take the current player angle. Right, this is the thing that right now only works as long as we're on flat ground. Even hypothetically, like small slopes, this could be fine on. But the fact that we want the player to be able to go sideways and upside down, this being hard-coded that using player.forward, this is the thing that conceptually, actually, the part that's the problem is the vector theta.forward. This is the thing that fundamentally breaks apart when we go sideways and upside down, I believe. for this, we take the player's current angle relative to if 0 is facing forward. So they're like, oh, they're 75 degrees facing this way relative to what forward would be. And then we take that, subtract it by last frame, so like how much did they turn? And then we add that to our horizontal camera angle so that like if this speed was hypothetically 0, it's like the camera is facing forward and the player turns this way, then the camera itself adds those numbers so that the camera knows that like from forward it wants to become facing like 79 degrees from forward or whatever. And then we have that number loop around 360 degrees to just between negative 180 and positive 180. Yeah. Then based on how the player is moving, if the player isn't moving, then the camera stops turning. If the player is moving, so it has any kind of velocity, then, and making sure that, that the player actually turned, they're not just, if they're moving in a straight line, then in theory, actually, wait a minute. Sorry, this is the angle relative to the player, like how many degrees they are away from facing where it wants to be. So this is a number that wants to become 0 over time. So if it's already at 0, it means it doesn't need to turn, so skip these steps, yeah. And then if we need to turn positively or negatively, then yeah, add the speed times the velocity. Is this times the absolute? The higher the degrees, the more it turns, I think is a thing, I guess. And times it delta time to make it frame rate consistent. Then down here we take the camera direction where it should be, like the what way the camera should be. So this horizontal angle is like the 360 orbit around the player. Once we have that, then camera direction is then has to do with moving it up and away. So we take player.forward, angle it. No. Well, this is, we calculate this, and then this has to do then actually moving the camera based on these numbers, yeah. So take the camera being on top of the player in the direction, turn it based vertically, and then turn it based on like horizontal, and then move it backwards, essentially, by the amount. Yeah, that's the camera position, and then that's the direction, and then actually move it, actually look at all that. Or we use the direction to calculate the position, yeah. And then we set the last number. So that's how we currently turn the camera. Remind you and reminded me. Now that was enough time for Mario Sunshine to activate. So just to mess around real quick with how this kind of a camera works. It does have, like, being a more sophisticated game, like, you know, some 3D platformer cameras will be like, here's the basic how the camera works, but then different situations where the camera works differently, like when we're in the water, which I didn't mean to fall in, but that's fine. This, you know, being a significant thing here, so the camera, like, you know, pans back more so you can see it, which is cool. Not what I'm as interested in, though. I want to, like, go away from... Be more, like, neutral default camera state when we're not by anything. So, from here, we move left. This behavior, where I'm holding perfectly left, and we go in a circle, rather than just going in a, you know, straight line, like if I was hypothetically, like right now I'm manually turning the camera, but if I didn't have that. So the behavior that I want to have, that is what a lot of 3D platformer games do, is this idea that, you know, when you move to the side, the camera turns as well. And that's for, like, left, right. I do notice that we're mostly in the center. Ratchet and Clank, when we checked out that, you kind of move a bit more off screen before the camera turns, I do notice. Also, of course, if I turn in place, I see that the camera does not really, you know, turn to match or anything like that. In this game, if you move towards the camera, if you move towards the camera, like, it doesn't turn. If you move away, then it also doesn't turn. I kind of don't, like, I know there's some games that when you run towards the camera, it kind of whips around to be able to, like, kind of whoa, and then go that way. And or if I move in this direction, it'll still kind of, like, turn more. I think I want that. I'm not 100% sure. I think right now it seems like it'd be, if I want to just have it move left and right and not turn based on forward and backwards, then I do need some way to be like, what is our speed relative to the camera, and have that, just that sort of vertical speed, and then, like, do that way, which, you know, is trickier, in theory? Huh. Would it get around some of my issues with the... So, I don't know, like, the current, you know, mechanisms that I'm using to determine how to turn the camera that only work on flat ground. And right now this is flat ground. This ain't Mario Galaxy, so you do remain on flat ground all of this game. Oh, there's also stuff with, like, when you jump, how the camera behaves in, like, that kind of situation. I'm not too concerned with that at this stage. More just, like, on the ground, moving up, down, and all around. How does that do? I would love to... I can't launch multiple games at once, right? No, I have to, like... Can I launch multiple instances of Dolphin, maybe? Oh, that'd be cool, but no. I guess I can... I was gonna say, if I close this, then I have to, you know, go through all the cutscenes and stuff again. Save states are a thing, so let's go save state. Bam. And then we're just gonna close this real quick. I believe an example that does do the thing that I want... Oh, not launching Mario Sunshine again. Is... Oh, whoa. Don't be frozen. Oh, it's frozen for a second. I'm gonna... Nope, please fix yourself. Well, okay, yeah, that's what I wanted. That's fine. SpongeBob Pedal for Bikini Bottom. I believe... Let me make this a little bit bigger, but still not full screen. Oh, is it not gonna... Oh, no, yep, it fixed itself. I believe this is a 3D platformer that's gonna have the example I'm thinking of that the camera actually... If you run towards the screen, the camera will whip around. And, yeah, I want to just mess around with this. I thought that... Let's get through this. I guess not. I can get into new game real quick. I don't have to sit through any actual cutscenes. So that's fine. Initial loading screen stuff, but don't worry about that. Initial loading screen stuff, but don't worry about that. Okay. And then ignore everything with game. Right. I'm gonna press B for B, but B is, I have it on X, and that's fine. No. Am I crazy? Hold on, let me just, real quick, I don't want to, like, actually play the game, but let me just real quick, does the camera behave differently? So right now when you're in this, like, house area, it's slightly different than when you go, just do the quick tutorial bit, and then, like, leave the house, and just, you, like, get, like, a little bit of money, and then you go in here, and you buy the thing, and then, which, I mean, normally I never do, because you, like, go in a room over that way, and then there's some, like, a bonus collectible stuff, and then you get enough money to come back around this, but just to speed through this as fast as possible, get the first star equivalent in the game, like, whatever, going outside, is the camera behaving? I swear that I remember, am I not thinking of this game either? That when you run towards the camera, it, like, basically spins in a circle, I thought that this game did it. Or I think Simpsons Hit and Run doesn't do that either, huh? Like, okay, huh. If every game that I'm about to check out does this thing, it might be better to just do the standard. Am I not? Am I thinking of... What am I thinking of? Am I thinking of a different game that I'm... Huh. Well, okay, maybe not, I don't know. But, okay, well, to look at another game's camera, anyway. Again, you move left and right, you move in a circle, and that's, you know, pretty standard. I'm moving in this direction, the camera is turning with me. I don't have to be manually turning the camera, right? That's the sort of thing we're trying to have less of, but in our game, like just like this, you have the ability to also move the camera. Oh, and another thing to look at, I guess, that I didn't think of is, some games have slightly different behavior for looking up and looking down. I tend to go with the generic, like, turning, like, camera pivot, where just, you know, angles towards the ground in the same way, and if it happens to hit ground, it turns up. This camera is different, where it just kind of up sort of zooms in and goes up in a weird arc like that, and down, like, does this, which, I mean, like, even if this seems like, oh, less necessary than just normal looking up and down, this is like a level of polish that just feels like the programming to do this feels more complicated, that I, like, more appreciate this kind of in and out. Like, it just feels like a more polished camera, which is a thing. But no, it is still just, yeah, backwards. What am I thinking? I swear that there's somewhere in this game where, like, going towards the camera basically had you be spinning in a circle, but maybe I am thinking of something else? Either I'm thinking of a different game, or, I don't know. Let me just, while I'm doing this, like, while I'm going through these games and stuff, can I save this, like, save state this as well, just so if I open it back up, I can... This, yeah, I have, in Dolphin, you have like 10 save slots, I guess, per game, but maybe you can have more if you really need to, but, I wasn't sure if I'd have to save each one in a different slot, but I have 10 per game, it seems to, actually, I just want to double check, so if I open up, Sunshine again, I can, load where I just was and I didn't like mess up that save state? Yeah. Okay, cool. Just to check it. So those are two, like, you know, actual, you know, proper 3D platformers or whatever that have different, like, requirements, right? Where, like, in Mario, you have the hover thing. You have Flood. I know what it's called. When you're hovering, the camera, like, pulls back for that and essentially looking down below you. So there's, like, extra situations depending on what. Hey, everything, guys, hello, welcome to the stream where I'm rambling a lot about cameras and stuff, and also playing for like 2 seconds each a bunch of random 3D platformers. This is more of a stretch, but it does have a 3D character that can run and jump, but it's not real. I mean, like, depends on how you define it. And yeah, we can do some quick Rubik's cubing as I is your chat thing broken? Oh no, is it? I don't think so. Or does it time out messages and go away? I believe you're the first person that's typed in chat this stream, so I think that's all of why there's nothing down there, which is fine. But, yeah, hello, welcome to the... Oh, didn't show my first message? Really? Oh. I have no idea, actually. Like, I see here, I just see your messages and the other ones showed up. I have no idea why that is. That's weird. Funky. And I haven't done anything between starting stream and now that would have affected chat, so I have no idea. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell ya. Oh, so you redeemed Hello World. I said eventually before the Hello World. Yeah, Funky. I don't know why it set up, or why it didn't send or show up. Weird, but the rest of them are, and I can see the activity thing of redeeming these. So, oh well, weird. Well, yeah. Anyways, okay, so, yeah, so I was initially planning to stream Subnautica today, but I'm low on time, and I think today's going to be a shorter stream, so instead we are doing all this messing around where I am, is this cutscene I can't skip? That's fine. Trying to figure out, you know, how I want to do the camera in this game, not just, like, conceptual stuff, and also how the heck am I gonna program what it is that I want to do. Like, this is one thing that with this turning that I don't quite, like, okay, that I don't know how to get to work with my situation with my character, where, like, if I'm moving to the right, I'm kind of moving out, not like this. Right now I'm holding right and down. I would like if the camera turned more, you know, exactly to the side, but, yeah, why it's not doing that is funky. Also, right now this camera does not work at all when we are on actual slopes. Yeah, so, like, that's extra steps. That's, and also midair also has some funkiness that I want to finagle into working, but yeah, we'll get there. Okay. Sorry, Bart, you'll get tutorials another time. Oh, right, I can move both at the same time. That's funny, I forgot about that. So, and third, and I'll get to the cube in a second. Let me just do this real quick. Third example of game with third-person camera that moves around. Also, let me just stop the game so that's not, they're not both going. Yeah, so again, moving to the right, it turns the camera. These basically do the exact same thing. Like I knew they would do conceptually similar things, but the three things that we have just looked at are way more similar than I thought they'd be. Here's more cool games, so I'm sure you'll figure out. I'm trying. And the moving forward. Am I insane? So, what game am I thinking of? I don't know anymore. So I knew that a lot of 3D platformer. What is the kind of camera you were looking for? Basically this, like the. Oh, even this is not exactly interesting. When sprinting, now it's like slightly more further away. So in general, 3D platformer camera. That's like the basic thing. I wanted to look at some examples of how if I'm not moving the control, the C stick or whatever. Isn't that interesting? I wanted to look at some examples of how when I move to the side, the camera turns to go with that, right? Like the camera doesn't stay like, if I'm to move, like it doesn't go parallel to the road where I'm then moving it in, you know, the same direction, right? Like it turns, right? I wanted to look at some examples of games that did that. And also, I thought that some of these games had like, when you go towards the screen, the camera like started whipping around like this. Not this one. But the things I've looked at have not done that. I thought it was kind of a 50-50 that some games would have the camera turn regardless of the direction that you're going to try to be behind you, and some games just worried about left and right. But all of the 4 examples that I've looked at are only left-right. And because of that, that makes me more... Because, like, right now in our thing, it turns for any direction. You go towards the camera, it does that. Which I thought this wasn't a crazy thing to do. I thought other games did this. And I swear there's got to be, like, some example of a thing that does this kind of thing. But seeing that there's so much fewer than I thought, I'm thinking that less that... I mean, this is a little bit funky to begin with, but I'm thinking even more that I maybe don't want to do this and actually just get it to work based on pure left and right, which is easier in some aspects and harder in some aspects. So I'll have to figure out how conceptually to do that. Interesting. Let me just... and real quick, I'm just curious of, in the car, so this is a driving game for those unfamiliar, but there is some amount of that you can walk around and stuff. I'm curious, just, different controls, different camera stuff, but like, camera when you're in car, if I back up, will it, hey, I mean, kind of. Different circumstances, car camera requires different things, but that's kind of the camera whipping around in like, I mean, I can't, if I hold reverse, right, then it's just looking at where you're going. It doesn't continue to flip around. So it's a one-time flip. And then this interesting thing I noticed that it flips forward a lot faster than going backwards. It slowly flips forward. It immediately flips. And then, oh, right, when you're back up against walls, it like is smarter to try to help you be able to see all of directions. I mean, isn't there a direction I can press to like, whoa. Oh, right, there's a, anyway, and then with this, when you turn, the camera is basically always behind you. If I stop, then it... Yeah, it's always smoothing to behind you, kind of. Sort of, but some math, some whatever that's to do with that. Okay, let me just... save state, so I can come back to this if I need to, in order to sit through intro cutscene stuff, close that. And it is cube time. I, definitely have played games where the camera is fixed to the player's perspective, but I can't think of any specific example off the top of my head. Yeah, me too, I have done that. And, you know, some games have more, like, tank kind of cameras. And, like, different games do different things, both for the sake of variety, but also from the specifics of the gameplay and what the player can do. Some types of gameplay more demand some things than other. Like, that game being a driving game, car do different things. Actually, real quick, is there... No, I was gonna, like, while I solve this, launch another game to have it do some intro cutscene stuff. I think all the other games don't have, like, all the other games have skippable cutscenes. So, anyway, I happened to start with the ones that had more... that had, like, long cutscenes that didn't, were unskippable. Anyways, let's do cube, which means I get to use new Stream Deck button to go bam. And of course yeah, it's gonna launch on another screen because it's gonna launch with, because I have this, it's gonna go beside that. Oh well. For now, this on, bam. As I said at the beginning of the stream, I want to do more messing around with this, where when we're doing this, the timer is really small and I'm really big, so you can see the cube. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. Hopefully between now and next stream, I will do that. But for now, you gotta deal with tiny me in the corner. You can barely see the cube, and you get all of the timer. So last time we solved this right at the beginning of the stream, 47 seconds, pretty decent time. Let's see if I can do better than that. So, this is my scramble that I'm going with. Okay, my cross is gonna be something like, actually, hold on. I go bam, 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 no, bam, and then blam. Okay, I have a plan. Easy. Let's see if I can beat this time. Right now, this cross, I think I can do better. Last time I fumbled doing F2L sluggishly, and got a PLL case that I'm not good at. There's like, no, I don't need to go all in the depth on the nerdy explanations. Let me just solve the cube. Okay, my plan is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 move cross, which I don't think is optimal, but it's what we're gonna do. Ready, 3, 2, 1, yeah. It's like I'm doing crosses slightly slow, just make sure I do it and don't... I messed it up, what do you mean? It's fine, okay, cross done. That, and then here, and then why I'm fumbling? It's fine, don't worry about it. And then a little bit something like that, and then what I'm trying to do is like sometimes move slower for the sake of less mistakes. because that paradoxically leads to me being faster. Anyways, am I rambling? I'm almost done. Oh, that would have been so fast if I didn't mess up. Bad thing. Hold on. And then here, and then 3, 2, 1. What is it? Oh, then it cleared. 43. That could have been so fast. I got lucky, and then I ruined that luck. So, hold on. Let me just set up a thing that just happened. I got so the last stage of the cube looked like this, where it's basically solved, except for these 3 pieces. Right as except it was like this. So I was like, oh, there's more things scrambled. Right as I turned this and went to do a completely different algorithm, I started to do it, and then it was like, wait, I shouldn't have done this. I should have done the other easy thing that would immediately solve the cube in a couple turns. And then I was like, oh, I already started this. I don't think I can back out of this. So I just gotta finish off doing the thing, and now the cube is worse, and then just do that again. Which doesn't take that long, but still just completely waste of time to be back where I started, and then did the last thing, this proper thing, and then the cube is solved. So I accidentally did that. That was a foolish mistake, but I didn't mess it up so bad that I, like, re-scrambled the cube, so I guess that's good. I don't know how I messed up the cross as well. I planned the moves and then did them, and then noticed that, like, one of the things wasn't actually in. It got moved out by some other move I did, which, oh well, I guess. Wait, I know exactly what, oh. Yeah, I'm a fool. I know what move did it. Anyways, yeah, quit spilling your magic to me. Just twist the plastic. Yeah, that I did. Technically, I beat that time. So, back when I was less rusty, what is my fastest time that I've done on stream? I don't remember. Actually, was it? Have I beaten 40 seconds before? I don't remember. I might have. I might not. Actually, I've never done under 30 seconds. I know that, but I don't remember. I know that whatever my fastest time was, I remember it happening on stream. So it's somewhere buried in the VODs, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But you know what? I don't gotta worry about my fastest time if I get better, and then I get to like 30 seconds. I'll know for sure that that's my fastest time. Anyway, I mean, there's also the thing that often when I solve in the past when I've solved cubes on stream, I just go from scramble to immediately solving, whereas you know, taking the time to look and plan the first couple turns does actually speed things up a bit. Now, technically, there's the thing of at Rubik's Cube tournaments, you get 15 seconds to look at the cube, and then you gotta start scrambling, or you gotta start solving. I'm not doing that right now, because I'm just not, I'd rather, I'm practicing planning the first few steps good, properly. Once I get better at doing that, then I may enforce on myself actually doing the 15-second thing. But for now, I want to get better at just actually doing, finishing that planning that needs to be done in the first place. I'll make some games with some friendos who are going to be lurking. Or play some games. I said make some games. Like, oh, you becoming programmer as well? But play some games. Yeah, go for it. You do that. I will flip. Yeah. Oh, we're doing some camera rotation-y stuff, so might be using that function somewhere. Also, ignore all these, right? Earlier in the stream, I was, I was starting and stopping the timer. I'm not paying attention to any of these other numbers that are around here, so whatever. Actually, I don't know what AO means. Oh, this is out of 5 out of 12. So the last 5 things I did, fastest times out of the last 12 things I did. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. Interesting. Also, I scrambled this randomly. I think I could start doing is because this generates an actual, like, proper official kind of scramble at the top. I could actually go with that. But anyways, not important for right now. Back to game and what we were planning. So, I want to, I wasn't initially going to do this, but just because I'm now extra curious of, like, initially I was only going to look at, like, 1 or 2 things. Because now I'm thrown off of what I thought was true about commonly how these kind of games do these kind of cameras. I just want to look at, like, especially some of these weirder examples where, like, this is also a racing game in some... It is, but it has some platforming of some kind. It's gonna speed through... I'm just curious of, like, in this weirder, wonkier example, like, how does the camera kind of go? Chick and Stu, great, amazing characters. For people who don't know this game at all, just funny thing with this cutscene, the guy on the right, if you look, every single time the camera cuts back to him, or not every, 90% of the time, most times the camera cuts back to him, he's gonna be wearing a different wig, and that just is a thing that recurs most of the game. I believe in a couple seconds. No, Von touches motor. If I tried, I probably could recite this entire cutscene by memory, but, anyways, this, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Anyways, not important. So, okay, other game with, yeah, stuff going on. Fun fact, actually, we're gonna detour even more, because I can. And also, like, the camera problems I'm having, I don't immediately have solutions to, so all this rambling gives me time to potentially think up a good solution to what it is I'm actually trying to do. Over in the land of Blender, I've been messing around with some things. Do I remember what this is? But, hold on. I want to find this video game references. It's in here. Bam. And you are not a file. You're just an object file, I think. Okay. Hold on. 1 second. Blam. And you definitely were an FBX. I think you were just an OBJ file. In learning to get better at, like, making environments and all that in games, I found some of these. Bam. I went bam too early. This is the model ripped from the game of the level that I'm in currently. This is the main, like, hub area of Crash Tag Team Racing, and you go here, then there's a lot more, like, stuff going on. Here's where you spend a lot of the game. Well, I mean, not like hub world-wise. You go through this tutorial area, and then you can never come back. You go down an elevator, and then you don't get to go back. But you can see down here all the funky textures and stuff. Whoa. And seeing how different objects are split up. Oh, like, this is a, rip of the model file, so how accurate these are, and, like, whatever stuff may have been damaged, destroyed in the process of ripping them, like, whatever. I mean, this only has things that are static, pretty much. Like, obviously this doesn't have, the characters and the everything, like, whatever, but if you look here, and then I go here, you can see, the arrows that are here. They is not here. Just the fact that, yeah, you can look at that, and you can see all up there, and that is the same. Anyways, I think that's neat. So, actually messing with this camera now. I don't know if I want to progress through this tutorial just to get to actual better, like, open space. Whoa! Oh, okay. This is, to the average person, would look like nothing. But that's a huge revelation, and something I need to test in the other games. Hold on. That's... So this also has the case of, well, you have, camera and all that. The camera doesn't move when you jump, unless you, I think if you, oh, yep. Disable tutorials. Yep, I don't need them. I know how to play the game. Yeah, the height of the camera, like, adjusts. Other than right here, it's like this fixed camera angle thing it's got going on, sure. Other than that, it, like, adjusts once I land on stuff, I mean. Huh. What? Oh, I died. It's fine. Dying in this game has, like, no consequence. It's not really as much about the platforming as much as it is getting from, like, track entrance to track entrance, for the most part. Anyway, so camera. It has the same thing of that it turns as you move left and right, and if you go forward and backward, it stays with where you are, which, like, I guess that is the kind of behavior that I want to try and emulate. But the thing that I've realized is my current camera that I'm setting up, in terms of deciding how to turn the camera, I was doing it based on the velocity of the player, kind of. If the player is moving to the side, use that velocity, and that's factored in with, like, the speed and stuff. And also the direction, well, using the player's directions to know where to turn. But the idea that, the fact that this is an example of a camera that's turning, even when the player itself isn't moving, it's just looking at, player is moving, like input is happening, and then, the looking at probably the direction that the player is facing. That is fascinating to learn that that's an example of how this is done. Also, would I want this kind of a button to, like, quick snap turn where you're looking? Oh, this is like a first-person thing. You really need to look around. I actually kind of have a thing I'm already doing in my game that is the equivalent of this, but extra funky. Something like, I think we'll need some more revisions to make work good, but, yeah. Anyways, My idea is, an idea that I have that I already partially programmed is having like a drone camera thing, like a mode where you can like sort of, you know, pause and have like a drone camera thing. I mean, calling it a drone camera, just having the camera fly around within like a bubble of the player, and then you can like look around while the game is paused and then go back to controlling. Also works good as like a as a YouTuber thumbnail camera in theory, but that's not the intention. But I realize that it's a bonus points. Some games, you know, like Mario Odyssey, Hat in Time, kind of have that. Actually, literally, yeah, Mario Odyssey and Hat in Time have that kind of drone camera thing. But I want to be able to use it as also like, oh, you're mid-level, sort of freeze the level, or like look around that corner and like plan, because in the game it's kind of I don't know if resource management is the right word, like you know, there's stuff going on there, and there, and there. What's the fastest way I need to go? So pausing, like, looking around at, like, the immediate hazards, and then, like, planning a route, potentially, and then going. That's a thing. Anyway, yeah, so, just interesting example. Is there anything else I want to really, mess around with this game? Oh. Yeah, I've 100% of this game. I didn't know that you could zoom in on this camera. I've never done this. I mean, you never really need to in this game. Like, the platform part of this isn't super complex or anything, but, anyways, interesting. Okay. I want to really quickly test, though, this back to, save state. Bam. And then just close you. Just in case I want to come back here. Well, actually, now I can use these save states I just made. I want to look at the games that we just looked at a second ago, and I want to see if I'm running sideways into a wall, does the camera still turn? Is it like a velocity thing or just an input thing? So in this game, it seems to be maybe a velocity, or at the very least movement, whether that's tested with velocity or like player relative to camera positions, whatever. This is an example of moving to the side doesn't always turn the camera. But this game does have special, like, wall hitting detection, you know, grabbing the wall and shimmying, rather than the crash thing that, yeah, you were running into a wall. I'm fine, I think, with, like, the, you know, suspension of disbelief type thing of just being able to run into a wall and, like, whatever, or unicycle into a wall. Like, I don't need my thing to be this sophisticated at this stage. You know, maybe later as a more of a polished thing, but at this stage, I'm not too worried about this necessarily. But, you know, cool to have, but yeah, not right now. Oh, I didn't check in Crash. I'm also interested in the behavior of what up and down do, because this is a thing that we've already seen has been, varied in a lot of these games, where when you go up and down, like this is basically working as a zooming in and out on kind of a slight bit of a curve and looking down, which is interesting, and different games require different things. Oh, there's also what do the games do when the player is obstructed? This game's more sophisticated. You have an outline of the player and whatnot. Some games will zoom in and all that kind of stuff. Right now, my game is just going to zoom in because that's easier to do. Eventually, I could try to do a more sophisticated thing like this, but also not right now. Okay, interesting. Also, I already made the save state, so I can just close it to this. I want to check SpongeBob again of what happens when you run into a wall. I know that in this, when you run into a wall, then you're just endless running at the very least. Okay, any surface run to this one. Yeah. So also, endless running, and it seems to be just a velocity thing. Interesting. So this isn't like a consistent thing. Well, actually, it seems like the more, I mean, you know, a sample size of 3, the more common thing is to turn the camera based on actual velocity, not based on just are we moving yes or no. But knowing that, like, just moving yes or no is, like, an option that could conceivably work is interesting. Because, I mean, in theory, then, input-wise, it might be easier to just test. Like, test for left and right input, ignore up-down input. Just test for left-right input, and that's all we use to kind of determine do we turn the camera or not. That conceivably might be easier. Okay, Simpsons again. I just want to load. Bam. Yeah, not in car. Okay, what happens when I... Oh, even this has it right. This, like, thing trying to, like, look up. In and out also just works as a zoom, but you have the zoom and the up-down thing in conjunction. You have it zoom in for reasons. Which also, again, like, not super useful, but is a thing. If I'm moving to the side, then again, yeah, this is also an input kind of thing. But the player moves slower here. This is also a thing that potentially can matter, is the speed of the player. My game has a player that has the potential to move reasonably fast. That potentially makes there be extra complications, right? So, but yeah, in this, yeah, camera don't turn. I mean, player. Well, if I'm going like, oh, interesting, the camera does that. Oh, interesting, right? So this game's camera, which could be considered to be funkier, is just like that. It won't move. It won't turn if there's a wall there, rather than turning into it and like zooming in. Interesting. I think I prefer having the camera turn anyway and zooming in, even if it makes it harder to see. I prefer that. Ideally, like the best case scenario is like probably like the Mario solution, where the camera doesn't zoom in, but you see outline of the player, or you see through the geometry in some way. But the zooming in and turning is like a better, default solution. What happens if turning into wall? This is the thing to also consider is, the edge cases of different scenarios. There it kind of turns on, turn around. Okay. Turns on its heels and goes. Interesting. Wait a minute. No, that's because of the slight turning to the side. That's interesting to know. Well, turning to the side, now the camera's turning around. Interesting. Right now, I'm holding down, but because of the speed and, like, the camera turning doesn't seem to speed up. It seems to be at, like, a constant speed. Well, actually, I guess if we slow down, then it... Yeah, it doesn't, like, go linear to stopping. It does slow down and speed up, but it has, like, a maximum speed, let's say. Because of that maximum speed, if I'm holding exactly right, the camera's not turning... Well, if it turned faster, then it would be like this, I guess, but... Huh. Yeah, so this is like, okay, if we're turning like this, we're perfectly sort of locked... Like, it feels like we're perpendicular to the camera in terms of, like, Homer's exact left side is facing the camera. If I'm running, that happens less. Like... It's not, like, I can cheat it by, like, if I'm holding right and down, kind of. Then now we are. But if I'm just holding pure right, then we're kind of going out. My game has this sort of symptom of that the player moves reasonably fast, so when we are moving hard right and having the camera turn at whatever speed... Actually, if the camera didn't turn as fast... Yeah, then, yeah. So that's potentially an issue I might just have to deal with unless I find some funkier solution to. Like, actually taking the input and rerouting it to be, if we're moving right, but I want to be parallel with the camera, like, actually turning it kind of down on purpose slightly, but that, I don't know if I want to do that. That feels maybe a bit funkier. Anyway, so that's that. What else? Was that all the things I wanted to test? I just looking at these ones, kind of. I wanted to look at Tag Team Racing, what happens when you zoom in and out the camera, but I'm not as concerned with that. Going into either Zelda game has some lengthy opening stuff, so I don't think I'm going to do that. Last thing I want to check, and then we'll see if I can use what I've learned in actual applying it, is I'm kind of curious of what the camera is sort of like in the hub worlds of Crash Nitro Kart. So this is a driving game, but it has an area where you can, like, drive around in the car and then go into levels and stuff. Because that's more of a 3D environment. I think in those, the camera does just stay somewhat locked behind the player, but I'm curious if it's full lock behind or, like, there is some smoothing to it. And then also what it does when you go up against walls. I think it's just zooms in. But there's been a lot of cases here where I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure it works like this, and then it just doesn't. So, want to fully... Yeah. Understand. Anyway, just going into... Spamming A, it does not work. We're going Team Bandicoot. In this game, you can choose, like, Team Good or Team Evil. Which, yeah. Has actually different cutscenes and all that stuff. And I believe you choose Team Cortex, and, like, I believe the game is slightly harder, I want to say. Skip the cutscenes. Okay. Almost there. And sometime, blah. Okay, we're here in a second. Okay, so I can have some introductory things that I might be able to. I think an options thing I can, like, turn them off. Let me just echo hints. No, I was hoping for a setting to whatever. It's fine. All right, go. So okay, this I also haven't looked at this game in like a long time, so okay, it is actually more. It's like mostly locked behind, kind of more than I thought actually. Huh. Okay. So okay, the information I can get from this might be less than I thought. It's not actually. Oh, you can't even turn the camera to the side. I don't know why I thought you could. Oh. Okay. Well, up and down does nothing. I mean, like, you know, in this being a racing game, usually, yeah, the camera matters significantly less. Okay, so it might be less than I thought I could learn from this than I thought. Oh, well. I mean, there's a thing where you can drift, and then, I mean, this is a case where, like, yeah, so the camera having some direction of what, like, what forward is, the direction the car is going, but the car isn't actually turning, like, isn't actually facing that direction. Like, that's a thing that is interesting. Yeah, anyways. So, okay, that's a thing. Yeah, okay. So I'll still make a save state here just in case, like, so I don't have to go through all that introductory stuff again. Save state, blah. And we're not gonna look at Zelda right now. That's fine. That has some more complicated stuff where, like, you can Z-target stuff and then sort of have the game be, like, locked onto something and then you can orbit around it, and that gets more complicated. We aren't doing that, but we might potentially have some cases. Like, some of these games will have, you know, here's the default way that the camera is, but in certain contexts, the camera behavior changes. And we might do some of that. But before I do any of that, I want, like, the default camera state to work decently well. Even if it doesn't work in 100% of situations, I want it to work in most of them. Anyways, also, yeah, so this. Oh, one thing I learned very recently, or when I was going through this, is like, oh, you know, I guess that makes sense, but, like, sure. It's just that the ground here uses the same texture that's on these pyramids. I mean, when you look at it from afar, you can tell it's kind of obvious. This is, like, slightly tinted, and I don't actually know how it's doing that when the texture is the same, but somehow it is. Yeah, anyways, and like, the metal that's here is also used on, like, these castles. And you don't notice that. Like, I didn't notice it, you know, maybe you're playing this game, like, whatever. Even, like, the tiling. From afar, you can see, and it's, like, kind of obvious or whatever. But, you know, I never noticed this going through, you know, you're actually playing the game up close and running around and it having more stuff in it with, you know, the characters and what you're actually doing gameplay-wise and whatnot. So that's a thing I think that's an I need to learn. Well, obviously this is an older game, so, like, the quality standard would be different or, like, whatever, but, in terms of what I can notice as developer of game versus what you notice actually, you know, as the player playing the game or whatever, can be, you know, don't necessarily notice all of the flaws. It's the same way as one might think. Anyway, okay. Also, even, like, that's the same as that. Yeah. I mean, this is, you know, clever reusing and stuff, especially because this is, like, tutorial area you never come back to, but. And then also the use of, like, you know, outside the bounds of where you can't see and how quickly things sort of cut off. Anyways, not important. Close that. Keep this over here. We'll see if we come back to it. So now, can I, in any sense of the word, apply what I've learned to this? I do think I have cemented in my mind that I do want to change this camera turning thing to, instead of being, you know, turning in every direction, it just looking at left, right, and turning based on that. So you can move directly at the camera, and already you can move away from the camera. But I want, yeah. Basically, so if that's the case, and then I can either do based on velocity or based on input, I do have to care about, and so there's some cases that I can potentially learn from some stuff from those games, but I'd have to, like, actually go past tutorial level stuff to find out. Oh, actually, one thing I actually do want to confirm that's relevant is that if I hit right slightly, this can happen. I want to confirm whether this is my controller or Unity, or, like, you know, game problem. So I'm just going to go into any of these and quickly just see if I can replicate that happening, just to confirm. So can I? No, it does appear to be my game, which is good, and that my controller isn't broken or something, so I guess that's good. Before I do anything, let me just see if in theory, well, I don't know what would be causing that, but in theory, you'd think it'd be a quick fix. So, is this just that either something's messed up with, like, the getting of the vertical axis, but, or yeah, I don't know. Let me just go and print out, not just new direction, let me print out specifically just this and double check that, you know, start at, like, the first thing that I'm getting is this number fine, or does it get messed up when going down? Also, I'm a fool, and what I want to be testing for is horizontal, which I could have just pasted in the name part there, but whatever. Yeah, I just want to quickly confirm that this seems like, in theory, should be an easy bug to fix, that something I shouldn't put off necessarily. Okay. So, yeah, okay, so that number is messed up, but why? And it's only messed up in the positive direction, right? So, it's like it's going... Oh, it's like it's going down, and then it never finishes... You know, it has a point where it stops. That's slightly different each time. It's not some exact number. So I'm guessing in the... input settings. I don't usually mess with this version of like Unity's input system that much. I'm very commonly just manually get keys and whatnot, but I don't often do controller input either. So why would this be doing that? This is this, right? I was hoping that there'd just be some easy, quick discrepancy between those, or is there? Is that the area of problem, or is it like? Oh, I made these manually. But these aren't being used in the code. Oh, this is right stick, so this is for the camera. No, I am using this, but different things are using this. So, in theory, if these are fine, then that should be fine. I have, like, the sensitivity... And the problem could be a couple things. Okay, what I'm really curious to see, what might just be a quick, easy fix to this problem, like what these values should be. If I just open up, like, this is an example of a new Unity project I made recently that I haven't done any input messing around with, so it should have all the default settings. I'm just curious, from a default Unity, essentially a default Unity project, what are these settings by default, and I can compare them to how I've changed them. And maybe, like, these being infinity is having some weird behavior, which is weird that it's only happening on the left, right, not the up, down, but, I don't know. I don't know why. There's also all this other stuff that's here by default, but I don't know if any of these are somehow accidentally messing with anything. I mean, there's no other ones that are called... Oh, right. Wait. There are two of these. Yes. Okay. As a test, let me just... Yeah, okay, well, before I'm going to check the thing I was going to check, but before I do that, let me just test these, that, like, this should work, this should no longer work, right? Okay, well, okay, yeah, just... And no, like, slight going left, right from this? No. It's kind of what I thought, but I just wanted to confirm. And then, to double check that there isn't some weird double behavior going on, if I now make this the 2, then make these the original ones that's actually going to accept. And I guess I only would need to do that test on the, like... just horizontal, because that's the only one I'm testing in code. So I can't use keyboard input. I can do all this input. Does up not happen? Why is right special? And it's like not all the time. It does happen. Oh, it actually stopped itself. It's like I have to do it a little bit and then it just continues. So, at the very least, I guess, or I can put these back to how they were a second ago. Problem narrowed down to being something in this, theoretically. The dead zone being 0.19, is it if it's under that it's getting caught or something? Wasn't this, like, default settings? I don't remember. I mean, theoretically, I could increase that, and that might fix the problem, but let's just kind of quickly look at this. What are your default values, and what did I potentially change them to oh so long ago? So these are the ones used by joysticks. Actually, even this I'm just curious of. 3, okay. I don't care about this. I don't care about... If I minimize that, it's going to minimize that. Let me just put this on other screen and just look at numbers over here and compare them. Part of me wants to get rid of all the axes that aren't actually being used, but... Oh, well. I have these as infinity because then I deal with the, like, sensitivity and all that, like, manually kind of through code is the idea. These are... The 0.19 is default, but this has gravity as 0 and sensitivity as 1, just to... And I'll try to be consistent on both axes. Just do this and just see what happens. This magically fixes the problem, but, like, makes the player slowly. I'll go with it. Somehow it does. So, and the player feels the same if I'm not... Or, like, pretty much the same. So, you know what? We'll just go with that. And, yeah, okay, easy fix. Not the main problem we were having, but that works. It's just, like, one thing I've been putting off for a while that you know, might as well fix while it's on my mind to do so, and it's a thing we would have had to fix at some point. Get rid of you. Okay, back to... How long has this been open? This is the drone flight camera thing that I was talking about earlier. I guess I opened that at some point. Okay, so... we've been going for an hour and a half and haven't actually done anything. Because trying to figure out how I even want to do any of what I want to do. So... I guess first things first, make this camera turning thing only based off left-right input somehow, some way. And I'm tempted to do it like based on pure input. Well, it could be like input and is velocity not 0 or not under some tiny threshold. Could be the easy way, because getting our velocity and then somehow like getting their velocity and then figuring out like perpendicular to the camera's direction or whatever, and like that's theoretically possible, but it just seems, at least at this stage, go with the simpler way, even if it's like, especially because like what we're doing now, we have to make work when we're going like sideways and upside down, and those other games don't have to deal with that to the same degree, and it poses extra problems for us. Okay, right, so yes, so... hold on. How doth I do anything? How do I... I'm thinking of this, and I'm also thinking ahead to, like, how we're gonna deal with this situation, but I guess we'll come back to that. Okay. So to only care about left-right, right now we are saying... So whenever the player turns, we sort of keep track of that to have, if I just go to, do I have this public? This guy, oh yeah, well I guess you can see it, okay. Let's go into play mode real quick. The number right here, this 0, as soon as I turn, basically this is a number that's keeping track of, what way is the camera facing relative to the player? How many degrees away from the player are we currently? And doing it in a way where, because then the camera is sort of counter-turning based on this. So it has the effect of that the camera doesn't look like it's, you know, it's not turning, but internally it's turning and then counter-turning based on this amount. And then when we move, both the act of moving potentially, you know, makes this go up. But there's other code that's doing the counter turning, that's essentially trying to decrease this number, getting it to 0, whatever it is. And then kind of doing that somewhat based on our velocity. Well, yeah, basing it on velocity, I thought would be good that, like, if we get launched out of a cannon and quickly whip that direction, that should immediately whip the camera around, in theory. I thought that would maybe be good, but, you know, we'll see how that actually applies. Because then the idea, if we're on a moving if we're not pressing any buttons, but we're on a moving platform that's moving back and forth, like, oh, how should the camera behave for that? Should the camera move back and, like, be turning because of that, or should it stay still? I think it makes sense that the camera would, if we're on a moving platform going back and forth, the camera wouldn't turn. It's only, like, really when we turn that the camera moves back and forth. I think that makes sense. So, yeah. But if we're on a moving platform and moving, then we'd just be looking at, so, like, just looking at input, basically, the left-right input, sounds like it would be easier to make that work. Anywho, so, what I was getting at is currently the calculation of this angle will change, but eventually it needs to change, and it can't use vector theta.forward because it doesn't, it's gonna have problems when we're, like, on walls and stuff. But essentially, I just had some other, I guess this, yeah, this basically is just, well, current player angle. Can I just manually look at, take the angle of the camera last frame and flatten it based on the ground that the player is currently on, or universal, like, up is the normal if we're in midair, and then take that angle to know the distance between the player and the camera? That actually might be a way I can get around some of this, in a way that might be able to work when we go up walls. Although, I do have to consider, like, if I want smoothing with the camera, if we start to go sideways, I don't think I want the camera to instantly snap. Well, maybe I will, or maybe it should have some, you know, we go sideways and the camera has the couple frames of turning in place. I think would be better. If we launch in midair and then touch a wall and essentially start wall running along it. I guess the camera shouldn't snap turn, it should smoothly turn, and we fall off the wall, it should smoothly turn down. That would be ideal, in theory. Okay, so we'll come back to that, though. Just in terms of the only worrying about left and right stuff. So, right now, we're only turning if velocity is something, and if the horizontal turn angle isn't 0. I mean, I guess, being 180, we also... Well, we'll come back to that. So right now, basically, we say if it's great, if the angle is greater than 0, decrease if it's... So, or do we even need the angle calculated this way at all now? It's almost making me think that just when hold left, increase this, when hold right, decrease that. Well, but it needs to, like, not overshoot the player, right? Like, if we're moving left, or, because there's the issue, if we're moving, like, you know, up left like this, that needs to be handled accordingly. And, like, yeah, if we're doing this, it needs to turn, yeah, like, how much left affects how much turning, then just look at the magnitude rather than just it being a yes/no. But then whether that can, like, multiply more if we are, you know, going like a speed boost or something, or, you know, get launched out of a cannon, something that makes us move a lot. The velocity way might be superior, but maybe we just start with the input way and then go from there. So if I'm just to get left-right input, I mean, in theory, I could just directly get this. Well, I mean, do I want to just get this, or I want to get it after we do all the moving? Input direction forward. I don't really need the whole vector. Maybe I do just get this. Getting this twice feels weird, but yeah, at least it could work as a test thing for now. So, if you get axis vertical, oh boy. Or just store that in a float, really. Float, and it being positive or negative, so hopefully take care of itself that. Amount to turn equals something along those lines. And then we just take that and, for now, just go plus equals amount to turn times some other information. So right now it'd be like 1. Go time dot delta time. Put in the speed. Maybe the velocity could be involved somehow to, like, be able to magnify it, but I mean, for now we don't worry about it. I did have this bit of smoothing where it's like, yeah, the more the angle is, the more it turns, but maybe that's not so necessary with the higher this is, then the more it turns. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, maybe get rid of this and just have these two things and just see what they do. I feel like this isn't gonna work exactly, but let's find out. It didn't work at all. Why? Because I'm an idiot and I put vertical instead of horizontal. In that test, I didn't even try moving up. If I tried moving up and down, if I happened to, it would have... Oh, wait, well, it's still not it. Why? Is it... Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, did I put a hard equals? I went plus equals. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Maybe because this is super low? It is. Okay, maybe that's it, actually. Because before it multiplied by the velocity, which could be, like, a lot. Maybe it is just a speed thing. Hey! Oh, wrong direction! That's kind of cool, though, it going the wrong way. It's like we're orbiting something in the middle. We're fighting some giant boss and we're orbiting it. That's kind of cool, but it's not what we want, but it's cool. I gotta go minus equal. Yeah, let's go minus equals. It's like a start, I guess. Oh, 50. Let's go 100. Just that would be a lot for just because. Oh. Okay, my controller, like, just be able to see it not being snappy, but being more exact. I mean, yeah. You know what? Like, that's kind of it. Huh. But again, this isn't going to work when we go upside down. That's the extra fun issue, is that, you know, these other games... Oh, even on slopes, this is kind of behaving weirdly, which is a problem. You know, other games that you don't go upside down, or if you go upside down, some temporary, flashy, like, can be pre-coded, like, hard-coded animation kind of thing. Yeah, I can get away with the code being simpler, but if we have to now take this... And also, to be clear, we're going to be able to have, like, you know, right stick moving or mouse moving on top of this, but I want, without doing that, the camera turns pretty good, but then, you know, you can turn with the mouse as well, as a lot of games do. So, that's going to exist, but right now I just don't have that in... We did with the old camera system. We'll put it back in, eventually, once this, like, the sort of automatic camera turning is good. Ooh, do I like this wiggling back and forth? Oh, I don't know if I do. If I'm looking at something ahead and I'm dodging some hazards. Huh. Maybe maybe this needs more of a slope, more sloping up to maximum speed. Like, you know, if we move a little bit, don't turn. Only once we've moved a lot, then turn. Or like, you know, this be turning a little bit. Okay. How'd I do that? Right now, it's scaling based on the input speed. I mean, obviously I can make this be slower, right? If it's 10, then. But I almost want it to. How do I verbally describe what I'm trying to have happen? Well, I mean, I can do this. I mean, the player moves fast, right? Like, if the player moves slower. Obviously, like, this isn't something you notice as much, but because we want and we have a fast-moving player, yeah, I don't know, I don't love this wiggle. And because, like, you know, we very quickly get to the input being 1, like the sensitivity, the gravity, or whatever the right word is, of how it, you know, it going up to being 1, essentially, its maximum sort of speed is a lot. So, I mean, is this a thing I based off velocity? I mean, if we do this, the velocity is quite high. How would I want to handle that? Like, how would I, if we just have moved a little bit, or we're just starting to move, having the ramp up be slower? I'm unsure. Like, conceivably, I can say with words what I want. But what I want with the, you know, code, trickier. I mean, like, okay, let me just to confirm something. We have, like, player RB dot velocity. I just want to print this out as we're moving. I just want to get an idea of, like, how quickly do we build up the kind of maximum velocity just from moving this slight left right? Like 5 and 6. Yeah, I guess just keep rising. So I maybe want to just take in the magnitude, but then, you know, if we're moving slightly up and getting like our velocity perpendicular to the camera. I mean, I guess I could just take the velocity and flatten it on the plane that is the camera. You know, maybe that wouldn't be that bad. Well, I need it just, well, left to right. So, like, do I flatten it twice, essentially? Flatten it on... Wait, can I? Well, surely there might be a better way. But taking the velocity... Oh, wait, can't I, like... transform it to be relative to the camera and then just get the X component of it? Or, well, yeah, or project it along the camera. Or you can go, like, transform it, like, I forget what, there is a, function that I'm forgetting, the name of, like, If I take this velocity and go on our transform dot transform direction, yeah, from local space to world space. This is from local to world. So if I want to transform, I forget what the difference between vector and direction is here, but if I go inverse transfer direction from world to local space, the direction that is player RB dot velocity, and then get the X of that and print that out. Is that actually the number that I would want? Perhaps? Because in theory, it would be better based on the velocity, so if we're running into a wall, it's not turning the camera, in theory. So just printing that out. Yeah? And this should basically be nothing. Here should basically be nothing. That actually looks like reasonably like what it should be. Exactly what it should be, I think. Something like that? Interesting. Okay. Wow, that was easier than I thought it would be. Built-in Unity functions for the win. So with that, I guess I just, I use that number as my rising scale. Because it gives me something that keeps going up higher and higher, and then the faster we're moving, the more we're turning, which should be a thing that we want, I think. Or it could be up to some maximum. We could do it the way that the Simpsons thing did it, where like it seemed to be up to a maximum. So if I just take this and have this be... We'll have the correction speed be on top of that, but times... amount to turn times... this as a thing that scales up, and we'll use this as well. Yeah, but probably for the best. So let them both affect each other, and then times that speed as just an additional multiplier on top of everything. Time it delta time, so it's like dependent on frame rate and all that. I can get rid of the. I'll keep this print statement for now. What else? Oh wait, that velocity is going to be negative as well, right? So this is going to double turn now. Haha. So I gotta put this back to being plus equals. These will correct each other. Yeah. I think. Or actually, are they? Wait. No, they're going to double negative each other. I need to absolute value one of them. I mean, do I care which one? I think it's going to be like positive one, negative one, pretty much, so... But what if we're... Well, actually, okay, now I'm thinking of... If we aren't moving, but a moving platform is moving us... I was about to get rid of this, but maybe not because of that. So I guess we'll go... mathf.absolute. Well, in theory, if one of these are negative, the other one will be, and I guess I want the input to be the one that, I guess, decides the direction. Because then we need to have some, this basically also says we need some velocity and we need input. And I could even, if I wanted to, I could put some lower thresholds, like if the velocity has to be above some amount. But if the velocity is super low, then in theory the number will be super low. Okay, hold on, not quite. Now this needs to go back to negative. And then because the velocity is going to be putting a greater toll on this, turn down the correction speed, which even that's high, but still the jiggling back and forth. But if I put this number, if I put this number down a lot lower, then maybe it'll sort of itself out. Okay. I mean, still a little bit of, like, wiggle, but I'm more fine with it, weirdly enough. Oh, wait, but okay. The additional question is, like, how tight of a circle do I want? It doesn't need to be a super tight circle. And, like, am I fine with this? I think I am. Yeah. Especially with, like, we have a thing where, like, the longer you're moving, you build up more momentum. And eventually I want more of that. It's not quite in place as much as it should be. If you're going down a slope, you pick up a lot of speed, like, really fast. I want you to build up a lot of speed. So that even... Well, then I want to cheat it, right? Like, I want to... I've said this before. I'll just... Yeah. Say it again, because it's been a while. When you go downhill, I want you to pick up a lot of speed. But I want to cheat, and when you go uphill, you don't lose any speed. Normally, you know, we go uphill, you'd lose speed. I'm cheating that in this game. So that... well, one, for, you know, the going upside down and all that... You are going fast doing that. But also, I guess, would have the unintended, but I like it behavior of if you do like a loop-de-loop, you don't lose any speed going up the loop, but then going down, you gain more speed. And I don't know, that conceptually sounds cool to me. Or obviously, like, going through a loop like this would be the fastest thing, maybe, but the fact that if you do a loop, you might come out of it with extra speed. I don't know, sounds cool. And we'll see, like, how I can maybe use that more. Even just a bit of hill, like, oh, I'm going forward, I can go the perfectly straight way, or the way it goes down and then up slightly, like, maybe that's faster. And, like, that, I don't know, conceptually could open up some interesting, stuff. So, okay, so this is doing, so this is, like, oh, it's pretty good. It's not... So if I were to try and change this camera business, I guess what I could do, if I'm only moving a little bit, you know, we're not at 1. There's that little bit of cutoff, you know, the time it takes to get to 1. Let me just try something a bit weird and see if it does what I want it to. If I were to actually just say, if this isn't 1 or -1, treat it as 0. Or, like, greater than, like, 0.75 or something. So that if it's, like, below 0.75, or if this isn't exactly 1, then don't turn the camera. Then, that would buy a little bit of that time of that if we're moving back and forth a little bit. It would have that, like, slightly less of that wiggling, I guess. So... something like... Well, I could write, if it's equal to 1 or negative, or something. Well, actually, I guess I could be... If, well, even amount to turn is not the correct name anymore, but I guess I could actually just put in here if it's greater than, like I said, absolute, f dot absolute. If amount to turn is greater or equal to, let's go 0.9, since it's like close to 1, I guess. And then, now, this beginning turning it is ever so slightly slower. There's still this slight bit of wiggle if we go back. I mean, to be fair, this is an uncommon thing to do, right? Like, going back and forth like this, like, I can see this happening. And the amount that this camera is turning, ooh, actually, wait. Before, it was turning constantly. Now, I'm seeing it, like, stop and then start. Oh, right, because even if I'm moving smoothly, if I go... Well, that means even doing this won't turn it, only when I go back. Oh, ooh, that, okay, there's actually a harsh cut between it going and not going. Okay, actually, I don't like that so much. I mean, I could divide it or, like, scale it differently, but, okay, maybe we go back to it just being like that for now. Actually, wait, better idea. Or, the thing that I thought would be maybe hard, but maybe wouldn't be that bad. Isn't there, like, a built-in, remap? Scale? Some way to be like, on the scale of 0 to 1, take the numbers of that and distribute it differently. Isn't there a way to... I know you can kind of do this with, you can kind of do this in, like, shader stuff a decent amount. This sort of remap kind of idea that I could potentially do manually, but if I could just kind of, well, like, you could get a remap or, like, anything between, like, 2 and 5. You remap on the scale of, like, 3 to 7 or whatever. That's different than just, like, take from 0 to 1 and do, like, a... I guess I could just go... If I just go, you know, as a rough thing, times equals amount to turn, that would, if it's 1, it stays at 1, 0 stays at 0, and then it would just, because we're dealing with decimals here, be more of a ramp up. Maybe that's just enough. Because it doesn't need to be that extreme. Oh, ha, right, yes, of course. I forgot to, now it doesn't have its direction. You know, because I did that, we're gonna move this here. As I said, like, it doesn't matter, I just need one of them to be absolute. It doesn't matter which one, so... And you know what, if I multiply it... Actually, because I might change this in a second, I won't get rid of that just yet. It's redundant, but... Because I might change it in a second or two. Okay. So, a little bit, you know, a little bit less movement when we're going back and forth, and... It doesn't, like, suddenly become jarring. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Alright. Ignore that. Yeah, the perfect camera. You can't find a game with a better camera system than this. Oh, no. Alright, well, this I'm happy with, though. That feels more professional. And it has the, We'll get mouse input in a second, but while me not having that right now, like we'll I just have to finagle the camera around as I need to. Running into a wall, it doesn't move, which, you know, eventually then I might have something of, you know, the player, you know, pushing up against the wall, as sometimes happens, but for now, I don't need that. Okay, cool, interesting. So I don't need any of this. I think that's working enough. I should like double check what I'm deleting. This is the other stuff that would conditionally change it based on velocity. I don't need that, and I don't need the print statement. This left-right relative velocity, we basically did that, so I can get rid of that too. This was, what are you? Before I had the lerp thing, I set those directly. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now if it's working decently well on the ground, I need to now figure out how I'm gonna handle slopes. The biggest problem area is this, and how if I could just potentially, what I need to replace this is a better way to basically knowing how much, I guess this does just become how much did the player turn relative to the ground that they're on. When they turn up a slope, that doesn't count. When, yeah, they and having it be, well, accurate so that we know that so we count this change delta, but this being 0 needs to equate to perfectly behind them. This can't get out of sync. If it does, that's bad. Presumably. So I just worry about whatever slight wonkiness of, yeah, going slightly up slopes and the character turning because of that. I mean, do I just look at player.forward last frame, player.forward this frame, take those two vectors, flatten them against the ground that we're currently on, and then measure the angle between them? Would that work? What happens when we go from being on a wall to being in midair? I guess player forward to be like this, and then player, like, whatever way we were facing upside down, we're still facing like some forward, or maybe we're facing straight up. Well, yeah, if the player's like on a perfect 90-degree wall, they're facing straight up, and then next frame they leave the wall. I mean, I guess in theory, hypothetically, you know, the player would have some slight smoothing of flipping around, but let's just, because we want to make sure all edge cases work. If in one frame they go 90 degrees from being up to being facing forward somehow, and now the angle between that, what does that, for the camera to know where to, how much did the player turn? Like, that's, yeah, funky, because if you flatten it this to the, so if you get the raw angle, that would be 90, which would be potentially not what we want here. Oh boy, hold on. Then, but if you flatten them both to the ground, if you have a perpendicular angle and you try to flatten to this, it would be a vector that's like nothing. And if it is nothing, then it would be fine just putting out an angle of 0? I don't know. Okay, that's funky. Oh shoot, I realized we never made a counter. Whoops. Random counter of the stream, oh no. What, some streams I have better ideas of what to make it. For coding streams, I less know, other than, like, a number of errors that happen. I meant to set this up at the beginning, obviously. If I remember real quick, just like that. We're actually close to the end of the stream, so whoops. We're gonna retroactively go reference games opened. And how many times did I open up random Dolphin games to test stuff? There was, well, I mean, how many total we went through? There was Nitro Kart, Tag Team Racing, SpongeBob, Sunshine, Hit and Run, and then there was, we reopened some. We reopened Hit and Run, we reopened SpongeBob, we reopened Sunshine. I think that was it. If that number's slightly wrong, then oh well. That's fine. All right, that would have been better to have earlier, and we probably won't be opening any others for now, but it's fine. Yeah, better something than nothing, and something unique than something like just errors that happened. Okay, so what was I just doing? Figuring out how best to calculate this. While I'm thinking about this, I know that this needs to improve in a way that shouldn't be that bad in theory. So the look height of the player, or like where the camera is looking at and judging where it's like going away from, if I make the distance lower, you see that we're looking at like the top of the player's head rather than, actually if I make the look height 0, rather than looking at their feet, right? Which is cool that I actually could change that and have it smoothly do that. I like that. When we go, you know, on a slope, if we're angled slightly, right now the look height is still going universally up. I want it to go I want to go like out the direction of the player. So if we're upside down, then it's going down, right? I want it to work like that. So to do that, that should just be, instead of adding to the Y, so we can start the player's position as like, you know, initial, like where the player is, and then go up based on player.up. Seems like the way to do this. So player.up instead of .y. So plus equals player.up times look height. Could it be that simple? Will it be, or will this introduce problems? Let's find out. So far so good. Turning. Oh, that looks good. The upside down thing, you know, ignore that, but that looks like we're looking at the right spot. So cool. That easy bit. That's fine and all. Yeah, so in terms of what's next. So as a temporary thing, if I take out this and this, and so ignore these calculations with the code that I knew was flawed when I wrote it, as it was a temporary thing. And right now the camera is locked behind the player all the time, which is funky, of course, but not what we want. But in theory, then it... Oh. Okay, separate issue. I thought, right, the camera wants to be facing up. Okay, maybe we solve this first. If we go up a... You know, if we go up a slope, the camera needs to be turning. I assumed it would be doing that, and I don't immediately... Oh, because look at works that way. Yeah. Look at world up is gonna be... Let's go player. Player dot up, actually. That solves that problem. Solve that problem, kind of. There's some funky player behavior I want to do in the air, but... And also, long term, I don't know if this is gonna use look at, or if I want to use a more sophisticated manual thing, but for now it kind of works. Okay, does that kind of, yeah, okay. Obviously this isn't great. And this thing, whereas the players kind of go to stop, they kind of turn weirdly. That's, you know, not a thing that I want, nor do I know why it happens. But yeah, it happens because the code is written bad. Anyways, that, at least like minor thing is technically we can do loop-de-loops with this system. It falls apart though when we bring this back. Whoops. Actually, I'm curious of how it's gonna break now. it looks fine until it's not. We can at least do minor slopes without it completely freaking out, so I guess that's something. So the whole point of calculating this isn't used anywhere else. Well, it uses this as part of calculating this, of course. So player angle. And I use that to get basically the angle that the player turned. I guess we'll start with this idea that I proposed earlier, but I feel like it's not going to work correctly. Which, if we just need this amount that the player turned directly, then a different way of calculating that is to... actually, I'm going to make a different last variable. So last player angle 2. Temporarily just be a different thing, so I can keep the old one and not break this current code equals thing we're about to calculate. So float player turn amount or something like that. Hold on. so what did I say I was gonna do? Take player dot... Oh no, I wanted player dot forward to last frame. That's what this was. Last player facing direction, something like that. And this being a vector 3 then. And just to make this break, we'll start with it equaling player dot forward, which might be the same with, you know, facing vector 3 dot forward. Well, actually, this should not be vector 3.0, otherwise that could have problems. So, and then last player direction equals player dot forward down here. So. Player turn amount equals, take... player turn amount, minus, let me just start with vector3.angle, vector3.angle, whoops, angle between is deprecated, right, yeah, angle, signed angle, I need an axis, I guess I only need, oh, no, wait, I do need to care about, you know, whether we turned in a positive direction or a negative direction, so I need it to be relative to something, so, we'll go, whoops, signed angle. Do I have, so player.forward, and last player facing direction, relative to, could be vector3 for now, do I have exposed player dot, like, ground normal or something? The normal direction of the ground that they are on, again, right, where did I calculate that? I thought I calculated somewhere that that got you, where is ground, or is it, oh, player ground check dot instance dot ground normal is its own thing, I think. Ground normal, that's it, okay. And that happens to be an instant thing I don't need a reference for, that's how I set that up, so cool. Ground normal, and we'll do, well, this is, if we're in midair, then this is defaults to vector3 up, so I don't need that kind of a check in here. So this works unless we turn some wonky direction, like, well, actually, wait, will it automatically, if we're checking that angle based on this, if we have some, you know, two angles that don't align with the ground, if I'm using this as the axis, will that, like, flatten it and have it, is this going to automatically be the angle relative to? I guess we're going to find out. We will test it and see if I need to do the extra legwork. So this player turn amount, can I just use this in place of this? We're gonna find out. And then comment out this, make sure it's not being used. If this immediately solved my problem, that'd be great. I don't think it will. Okay. Please just, oh, right, wait, why is, what did we do that, oh, shoot, what did I change a moment ago? Didn't I changed something so that the camera would be locked behind the player? No, it was commenting out this code. And having it just, right, so, signed angle between where we were and where we were last frame. Is it the wrong way around? It's like, something like that. Oh. Okay, interesting. Ground seems to be good. Being on a slope. So far, so good. Hey! Oh, it doesn't love it. Slight bit of being off, but it's not the worst, actually. I worry, though, of if, yeah, horizontal angle being 0. That needs to stay being perfectly behind the player, otherwise we're going to have problems. I need to make sure that no weirdness happens that makes it, like, get out of sync, what it thinks that 0 is. So, this jittering is happening, why exactly? Is that because... hold on. I need to just double check if you vector3.signed angle, does it automatically like project it onto the axis? Treat these as directions. They define a plane of rotation, which meaning they are parallel to the plane. Means the axis of rotation around the angle is calculated is a cross product of the first and second vectors. Oh, but then... Oh, no, so it is relative to themselves, but then the axis I used is just used to know if it's positive or negative, essentially. And the direction of the... Okay, so to be safe, I should be projecting these anyway. So, how do you... vector 3 dot project. Project on plane. What is the difference between... Wait, I'm forgetting what is the difference between project and project on plane in terms of... Onto a normal orthogonal to the... Or on a plane defined by a normal orthogonal to the plane. Yeah. Project a vector onto another... Oh, onto... Oh, no, right, no, yeah. So I want project on plane. Project on plane. Last player facing direction, and the plane being dis. And... well, I guess I can just stick this in here. I don't really... Well, I can't stick player.forward in there, but, I mean, in theory, player.forward should be along that, but I guess I should make sure. Hold on, project on plane that, I mean, okay, let me just stick, just to see if it's gonna even work, and then I can clean it up after. Just stick that in there, stick this in here, but use player.forward. Not that at all. Okay. So far, so good. Less jittery? Less jittery, maybe? Let me check on, Whoa! Hey, that is a good sign. Oh my god. Do we ignore midair? There's the funkiness of midair because of a thing I'm doing with how the player turns, but that's fine for now. It's smooth! Even though, ignore the funkiness of midair. Like, it's even if it's turning weirdly in midair, it's not snap turning. It's being smooth. It's smoothly turning the wrong way. But that's fine. That's good progress. Also, we currently have turned off any of, like, the camera zooming in stuff. That is a thing we will have at some point, and we used to have, and right now is removed. But this is actually great. Okay. My golly gosh. Is there... It looks like there's a tiny bit of funkiness with this. I don't know if I want to introduce some smoothness to how, like, turning because of, you know, this works. In theory, that would probably, you know, this slight bit of jittering that's happening, that would, you know, fix some of that. But it's just going to complicate things more, of course. Before I do that, I want to see if I can get the way that I want the camera to behave in midair to work. Which also I do see we're at midnight, which means I am kind of out of time. Whoa, we landed on that wall. That's so cool. That was accidental. See, this is why the character turns the way that he does in the air. Rather than being, you know, most... Well, I'm not a lot of games where you go on walls like this, but if you, in some games where you can be on the wall for, like, doing some quick wall runner or whatever, when you go midair, you turn universal down, right? That, you know, that would be normally how you would set it up. I have it set up so that the player turns in the direction of their velocity. So the wheel is in the direction that you're flying through the air, so you can fly into a wall or in a ceiling and then start going along that surface. And it's awesome. It's going to be amazing when it's working. It's kind of working. This tiny bit of working there, where I flew off the one wall and then redirected and landed on another sideways wall. Like, that is awesome. It's so cool. And it was a lot of what motivated me wanting the character to be like this, some of the ways of how it is in the first place. Now, the camera needs to be way less funky. What I ideally want to happen is... Okay, so this is where things get a bit trickier. Right now, I'm basing a lot of the camera turning... yeah. I'm basing a lot of the camera turning based on player.up, player.forward, whatever. And in theory, I could have that camera... The player turning could be a visual thing, except for that I want the collision of the player to be, you know, turning, you know, with them and how all that. So I need... If the player is in midair, I somehow need to... I want the camera to be universal up, I think. Yeah, how the camera... Well, okay, I don't know if that's... Oh. Is that going to cause issue? If we're on, you know, a wall like this and the camera is sideways, we're going along this wall, let's say, we hit some kind of spring that is meant to launch into another wall. That means that We get launched, camera turns down, and we hit wall, and camera turns that way. So, okay, thinking of that, I guess there's 2 ways we could do this. Almost, I think I'd have to see, I have 2 ideas, I think I need to see them both in practice to know what's gonna work the best. And that's, either, so the first way, the initial way of like, when they leave the wall, you turn the camera down. And it doesn't have to be snap turn, it could be a bit smooth so that, you know, the smooth turn, and then we hit a wall and smooth turn into that wall or something like that. But if we're, let's say, like, basically wall jumping, kind of, between 2 walls, we'd have a bwam, 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 and I don't know how great that looks. And if we're, like, upside down, and we leave the wall, and we have to, like, flip around and all that stuff, would it be better to, whatever wall, whatever direction we were just facing, if we leave that wall, have some period of time where the camera just stays facing that direction? We're flying through the air, and let the camera stay being that kind of upside down, just so that it doesn't turn, I guess. And as soon as we hit a new wall, then the camera whips around to face that, even if it's the floor. But I feel like there might be some situations where one works better than the other. I'm not sure, but I think I still want to try starting with, you know, if we're on any surface, we're facing it. And then if we leave that surface, then we face universal up. But like facing the direction that we were just facing. And that's the bit that's going to be complicated, is not turning upright, but also whipping around. That's gonna be, that's now the part I have to figure out, and how that's gonna be tricky. And that sounds like, you know, in theory, well, okay, if, you know, we're sideways like this, and if we, you know, left the wall right now, that sounds like, actually, well, no, it's not gonna be just moving the z-axis. If we were on a sideways wall, it maybe would be, but no, turning this upright means, well, I'm not gonna be able to see it orbit the player. It'd be cool if I had, like, editor code that made it always orbit the player, so that I, in editor, could turn it around and still see it orbit. Jeez. So in this case, I'd be turning just the X, but I wouldn't always be turning the X, right? Like, if I'm, you know, this way, and now I want, you know, hypothetically, I leave the wall, then it'd be this that essentially needs to turn to be upright. I guess the position doesn't change. Well, I kind of knew that. The position doesn't, can stick with these calculations, I think. Well, actually, the position might go and use vector 3.up. But for now, like, it's not going to throw things off too much, potentially. Especially because it already has this, like, the slight smoothing that it does. The main thing is basically this transform look at. Well, yeah, even the, yeah, hold on. Yeah, the position should be the same. Ish, I think. So it's entirely, but what camera look, wait, it's not going to be enough. Oh, this isn't going to be smooth, right? This is how this is going to be having problems. If player ground check dot instance dot check if is calculate if grounded, yeah. Or wait, do I have? No, I have is calculate if grounded is a bit of like part of the player's update stuff that does those calculations. Is grounded isn't a thing to kind of use for the rest of the frame. If we are on ground, do one thing else, do other thing. I feel like this isn't going to be enough to just, if we are on the ground in some fashion, then we use that. Otherwise, use normal vector 3.up. One, like, this needs some smoothing. Using look at isn't going to have the smoothing that we want, but it might just work decent enough for now. So if I go through the air, there's still, hold on. Why is that happening to the degree that it is? Oh, because that's the up part of it. Ooh. I guess. Okay, yeah, might need more stuff that needs to happen here. Hold on. As another bit of what needs to happen. Wait. Yeah. As another bit of what needs to happen, which I might have multiple player ground check things around here, and then like combine it all at once after it's working more. Also, I think that this thing is working enough that I'm fine to get rid of this, which then means this can go away. I don't know if any of these can. It's probably fine. The position here will have the same check, and then either go use player up. Oops. or use vector 3, universal vector 3 up. If we're on the ground, use that. I think this will work. I'm thinking like, is this gonna have problems? I don't foresee. And will it work like in the future for additional bits of functionality? All this is gonna need, maybe. So this might have the camera move around less weirdly in the air. Yeah, sort of. I still don't like. Actually, it's still. It definitely doesn't feel like it's, yeah, whipping around the way that it should. Like, why is it doing that? Why is it doing that? Oh, because it's still using player.forward for some stuff, right? For the, vertical angle uses player.right. But I can't just, shoot. This uses player.up, of course. Well, okay, temporarily. Hold on. I can't just use the player. Hold on. If I switched from using player.up to having this change to using transform versions, right? Up is gonna be the weird one. Like this. Let me just confirm my suspicions, in that I don't think this will work, but I would love to be wrong and have everything work beautifully. First try. Take this and swap them out with hold on. Swap these out with vector 3.forward, right, and up. What I might need to do instead is the moment that we leave the ground, store what was forward, right, and up at that moment in time, and then go off of those until we hit the ground. But then when we hit the ground, it would still whip around, potentially. And these don't smooth. See that? Okay, yeah, now this is a bit of a problem, isn't it? Yeah, that's that whipping around. We've had that bug before. This was a problem we kind of had back when we had the slope pivot, and when we had like the old camera pivot system. It's reintroducing itself again in a different way, which, like, I get why, kind of. You just don't know what to do about it. I feel like the way that things are set up now, I potentially have more options. This is a thing that, like, I don't know, is weird, because if you have, a player that does a full loop-to-loop and they complete the full loop-to-loop, it's fine. It's when we go from being upside down to being in midair and having the camera not break itself, but also needing to still keep all the functionality that it's had to be able to turn with slopes in the first place. And, like, see there, like, once it does that initial snap, it's fine for the rest of being in midair. Like, look at all this, woo, it's great. And then even once it hits the ground, it snaps again. So, that ain't good. Let me put this back how it was a second ago. Actually, let me just test things. If I keep these being all at player except for vector 3.up, I just want to for the up part of it, I just want to see what that's gonna do. Oh, interesting. Oh well, okay. I thought it was more working than it was. Why is it turning down to that degree? Wait, that's the horizontal thing. Okay, let me mess with just the vertical angle. But start with player.forward and then turn based on vector 3.right, perhaps. No, still no good. Could I don't know, take... What do I do here? Something with... How do I do this? I just need it to, like, be whatever it is and angle towards the ground some way. But, like, based on... Not just angle towards the ground, I need to basically calculate new vertical and horizontal angles and then, like, what they're based off of. Which, like, then this is still changing. Do I even consider that to be calculated correctly? What it should be when we're in midair. Like right now, players facing that way. Should, when we're in midair, I recalculate horizontal angle to be based on, like, the velocity that we were going in? Because when we're in midair, essentially the forward of the player is now kind of where the wheel is facing. So maybe I have some conditional thing that changes that? I mean, to some degree, when we're on ground, the player.forward, as far as I care, is basically just the direction of the velocity. So do I maybe change... If we're going off the wall, you know, the velocity was going in a particular direction, and then when we're in air, then... Would taking... Maybe that could do something? Take, instead of player.forward, use player RB dot velocity? I kind of want to project it on the ground, though, because... Well... If we're going straight up, that might do weird things. Well, let me just try it as a starting point. Vector3 dot project on plane. Project the velocity on the ground normal, which we have here. Where was it? Project on plane. Blarg instead of instead of this. And then what about these guys? Right is weird. To turn, have the vertical angle be based on the vector 3.right does not seem like. Let me. What if vector 3.up seems like it's the only one that has like measurable like potential of like, you know, just turn 180 based on up, I guess. Instead of player.right, should that change to like, if we're flying through the air and, I guess I could just say, take that velocity, that flattened velocity, and cross product with vector 3.up, and that might be a suitable right direction, actually? Would it be? Maybe, actually. In player move, don't I specifically calculate like a flattened velocity at some point? Or am I thinking of the old player move stuff? No, well this is, yeah, from the old player move, yeah. Which, I mean, is easy to calculate again. I just want to see if it was a quick thing to get. That, like, I've already calculated somewhere, but no, I guess not. Okay, so, just vector 3 flattened velocity equals, not velocity equals project on plane. That stuff. Have velocity, start with being flattened velocity, and then multiply, and then vector 3, something like air player right or something like that equals vector 3 dot cross product. I'm gonna get the order wrong, probably. I have a 50-50 of which it needs to be, but cross product flattened velocity with vector 3 dot up, and hope that that spits out what I want. Wait, why do I have this as negative vector 3 dot up? Oh, because horizontal needs to go the opposite direction. That's fine. Okay, right, and then da 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 da. I predict that this won't work. Let's find out how this goes awry. So, so far so good on the ground. So far so good doing this. And moment of break. What are you? What? Of all the things, why was that? Why is that the result? Why is that the result? Did I put something wrong in here that I didn't mean to? Oh, because you're not normalized or something like that? Does that matter? I'm gonna guess that that's the reason. I'm gonna normalize this too, and I think cross product might also already normalize it, but Okay. Sure. I'm not sure if that's gonna fix the problem, but why would that affect the distance? Dang. Okay, and that was it somehow, but it's still not turning the right way. Why are you going those directions? Oh, dang, I thought this would work. Oh, okay. No, that's definitely not. Oh, right, because if we're using this velocity, then as we, like, stop, then that doesn't translate so well. Dang it, this is... What do I do? How do other games do this? I know, like, here's the thing. Ratchet and Clank, I know, does this kind of thing, and it's 2002-ified way. Is it 2002? I think so, something like that. I know so most of these games that we've been looking at, you don't go upside down and stuff. And if you do, like, it's Mario Galaxy, it has extra special other funky stuff going on. But, like, Ratchet and Clank has a chunk of a level where you wear magnet boots and climb up a wall and stuff. And I believe in that you can fall off and the camera just swivels around nicely. So how is it doing it, conceptually, in a way that mine is not? So, in order to turn this camera, so it's this camera direction that we calculate. If you imagine an empty game object that's on top of where the player is, it sort of is like turning, and then backing up from that, and that decides where the camera is. It's doing that from slightly up the player, but we have that up player, like the head of the player essentially, like, calculated, and let's say that that's fine. It's basically turning up. And it's turning based on the... I turn based on the... I do turn based on the vertical first, but in theory that shouldn't matter. So it starts with behind... In theory, it starts with behind the player, and then angles based on verticalness, which is right now a fixed angle. And starting based on player forward means that, like, it can start based on, being on a slope. Turns this 30 degrees, and then horizontally turns based on where it was, based on these calculations on how the player turned and whatnot, and then it backs up. But because I want that when you're in midair, I throw all of that out the window. I guess I need to just... I need some better representation of when the player is in midair, what is essentially their forward direction in a way that makes sense. And I guess RB.velocity isn't enough for that. So but then, yeah, this is a tricky one. I am out of time, so now might be a good time to end things off when I do more thinking and hopefully can come back with a better solution to this. But this is kind of what had me stumped before with the old camera pivot stuff. But because we've gone about this differently, I feel like it feels more of a solvable problem, that all this camera, like, calculations with different things that have to have it turned for different reasons are all in one, rather than... And even I had some of that here, but before I had, like, the different stuff split up, and that made things more complicated in different ways. This feels like more of a solvable problem, but it's still tricky. And part of that is because as I say, I sort of turn the player in a weird way in midair, and I can't... For the physics that need to happen, I can't turn the player upside down like that and have it just be a graphical thing. But, like, as far as the code is concerned, the player is still upright, because I need the colliders to... I want the colliders to turn. But then, so to some degree, I could then, if I... And I've experimented with this a bit before, have some parent game object that doesn't turn, that stays upright, and then a child object that does the turning. But then that all falls apart when, on ground, going sideways and upside down, and dealing with what's the forward direction, and having to maintain, like, two transforms that, like, one is, like, this slope offset and the other isn't. Like, that gets funky in its own ways. And either I do this on the player, or I do it on the camera, or both, or none, and, like, it's complicated. And it's like, this isn't something unheard of that no one has done before. I just don't... Whatever math that needs to happen to that, the frame when I go in midair, from this angle to be basically in the same Well, actually, would it still be angled down? That's actually the whole separate question. Is do I still... The frame that we as the player go upright, and now the player is gonna, face, this direction slightly, and then, well, they move off the wall, so I'm just gonna, and a little bit. If in one frame or a couple frames they do this, then the camera essentially needs to, let me go, do this in like, put the scene view just down here temporarily so I can turn this with gimbal stuff. Wow. I need to, where is, down here. I was looking for down here for what's normally up there. Is it just, well, no, like that axis, like it just turned it on one local axis, like, I mean, if I turn it, then the camera would move. Do I move the camera? As I said, I was assuming that well, I'm going to be changing the direction. I guess I will be changing the direction of the camera and then having to turn, having to move back from it. Huh. The camera is down. Like, the camera is facing up and not, like, sideways. The camera is facing... I'm, like, okay. When I was looking at Ratchet & Clank and the footage that I was seeing, it has a thing where it's, like, the main thing I saw was... sideways. Sideways, like, sideways like this makes sense conceptually where... Hold on. This, in theory, is a matter of just changing the Z. And, like, this makes sense. I can rationale this. I mean, how we, code it. I mean, in theory, then, the position stays the same, and then that's just changing vector... the look direction to be vector 3 to up. Changing that to do effectively the same thing with some smoothing at some point. This makes sense. But when we're, and even in theory, when we are fully upside down, like, whoa, hold on. Fully upside down like this, if we then, if I could see, hold on. Let me just, because we don't have camera, like, mouse controls in yet, I just need to kind of finagle the camera to be the direction I want to for the point I'm trying to make. Being something like this, the camera also, like, if we just, stop moving and then fall off the wall, camera is turning around like this. Like, that makes sense. Just turning it on the local Z, effectively. But I don't have a direct, like, calculations that control the Z. Well, I guess I do with the look direction. But if I'm going up... If I'm facing up and then I fall off the wall, this is the weird case where I can't just change the Z. I need to turn down and actually move the position. Huh. So, is that maybe just a matter of only moving the local X and Y? Or local X and Z and not the Y? What I honestly might do, what might help me gather more data. So with these games that I've been just quickly like going through and like oh, in the tutorial area, how they move the camera or not. I keep coming back to this example that I've mentioned a couple times of it is specific. It happens like 3 times in the game, but it's like late in the game in Ratchet & Clank. And I, just looking up like a YouTube video of running through those levels, it's uncommon. Like that, those parts of the game aren't that hard, so it's uncommon that you fall off the wall mid-thing, because it's like a magnet wall. It's only, I don't even know if you can jump off it. It might just be if you walk off the side or get hit by an enemy or something. I might legitimately just quickly, I have, a PS2 emulator of that game, just run through it enough to get to that part of level as fast as possible, just to test these scenarios and see what it does and how the camera whips around in these circumstances, and maybe I'll learn stuff from that, or it might be completely a waste of time, I don't know. I don't know, oh boy, yikes, this is funky. This is a problem that I thought, like, I think we're kind of heading in the right direction with, handling this with this vertical and horizontal pivot. I guess in this scenario, it's like, the horizontal pivot needs to change, well, in that the player turns, and that's a funky thing. And then when the player hits the ground too, right? I guess that's a weird thing that I do. Let me just look at like the way that the player's face is facing when we go in midair. I mean, it's roughly the way it was facing before. It just kind of turns away. And then when we get all the way to the ground, are we still then facing the same way? Oh, let me land on flat ground and just double check that I kind of have done this right. Yeah, it doesn't look like the player, you know, facing direction changes that much. It's just weird when we go from being upside down. Yeah. So it almost, and if we're in the air for like an extended period of time, I just wonder about how that might make things funky. But the idea of just looking at when we leave ground, look at what the player's forward-facing direction was at that moment in time, and just going off of that. I do gotta end things soon, but may I just real quick, if I can at least solve part of this problem, it just, you know, makes this easier. Something like so private vector, or well, if I'm gonna store some kind of like last ground forward direction, I feel like I'd actually rather calculate that and store that on player move and then have that be a thing that the camera references, because then other things might need to reference it. Maybe. Actually, what would be better is if the ground check that this is the thing that has stuff happen the instant that we are or are not on ground. This should probably do it. So I already have, yeah, this ground normal in the, on top of that, oops, have like last grounded forward equals, start with, you know, vector 3.forward or whatever. When we go to set this to false, just go this equals, this ground check is on the same game object as the player, right? So I think transform.forward will do that behavior that I want. Let me just double check real quick. On player, is player ground check on here? Or it's on, is it on a child object that's like a ground detection? That's, frankly, that's like equal enough. Like that's gonna be basically the same direction, so that's fine. My only thing is, do I want to update that? Maybe just to make sure everything's good here. Why do I do 2 ray casts? I'm gonna just assume I have a good reason for this. Oh no, right, no, this is, if we are currently on ground, we use negative transform that up, so that if we're upside down, we're ray casting up into the surface that we're on. And then as soon as that stops happening, then we are in midair. If we have, you know, been in midair, or, oh no, right, if we're flying through the air, and then we have flat ground beneath us, I override that. So this is an additional check. Like, we're flying through the air like this, and hey, there's ground below us, so automatically, like, pick that ground. Which, yeah, I'm hoping won't cause... It feels like a good fail-safe, so we don't, like, somehow hit the ground upside down and have that do some weird things. Yeah, so I remember why that's there. I'm not going to get rid of it. But I'm just going to... I mean, I could just... If, yeah, as we're becoming ground, then keep storing that, and maybe that's fine. Or is it? We'll try that. Just, it's like, if we're on the ground, then the last grounded forward is whatever way we're facing right now. We'll see if that poses problems or not. I don't know if that's necessary, but whatever. Okay, so now in the camera, down here, instead of using flattened velocity and flattened all that, just use, instead of player.forward, use, player ground check .last, dot instance dot last grounded forward. Oh, right, I need the right direction. Do I want to go and just calculate that too? I suppose. Okay, hold on, I guess, yeah, I just make another variable for it. I could do some cross-product shenanigans, but nah. Just go last grounded right, which is gonna be vector 3.right, and then it's gonna have the same deal here of all that stuff. Yes. Indeed. And then this should be able to go blam dot last rounded. Whoops. Right? I'm less confident that this... I'm not super confident this is going to work when we're like upside down to flipping right side up, because then... it might have some weirdness, but it might just not flip around weirdly. And then this could use up, but I'm going to try having this be our current up, and we're going to see what happens. Oh, please be kind to me. Really? Why are you... Wait, why? What? Wait, why are you still whipping around? What? Look at changes to that. Oh, the horizontal angle, which is the thing that's the problem. I don't... You can play it forward and whipping... I guess... Oh, because this horizontal angle is meant to be like... Take the way the player is facing and orbit around the axis that's meant to be their up direction. Oh, okay. Well, okay. I can see this causing future problems, but let me just, for the sake of trying stuff that could work in the short term. Let me just also go and just store this for a second. I don't like this, but yeah, like I see this having future problems when we have mouse input involved. Let me just try it as a temporary thing, because yeah, the main problem is that what axis those things rotate around being different, like what they're referencing. Huh? Yeah. Okay. How about now? Still? What do you mean still? Okay, I have theory of why the code's saving, right? Like. Oh, I didn't put it in. I'm a fool. Yep, I'm a fool. I was about to say, my mind was melting there. Last grind it up. I thought I was like, okay, I understand conceptually why this problem is happening now. I've had a revelation, and then when it happened again, I was like, wait, what do you mean? My entire foundation of why this thing was happening is wrong. But no, I think that if it flips around that same way right now, I will be that confused. It flipped around differently, which is, obviously it's not good, but I still don't, okay, no, why are you flipping around like that? If you're this way, use what it was before. Why are you being this direction? Take what it was before and then it should be just, what? Because the player turn stuff is still happening? Oh, I guess, okay, I guess that makes sense, that's gonna be just be snapping. I guess. So, as another temporary thing, if we're in midair, don't update. I mean, I still need horizontal angle. If we're flying to the right, I still want that turning to happen. But what is considered 0? So it's rising for some reason. Well, wait, can I change these now then? Player turn amount. So the last direction the player is facing. Yeah, of course that's changing when we're going in midair. So if we're in midair, use well, there's not really like turning then. The amount that the player has turned relative to the starting way they were facing doesn't matter. You pretend they didn't turn? Because they're kind of flying through the air in one direction unless they turn around, or somehow it'd be based on velocity or something? Consider them turned in the way that vector theta forward is facing? Or a negative vector theta up, I guess at this point, is essentially their facing direction. I just use that. Maybe. Okay. Okay. So that's something I can maybe work with. So make player amount as a variable. I'll come back to that, and then go if same test, and then, okay, I have an idea conceptually. Just, this part is more related to the fact that the player, like, turns the way they do in midair rather than snapping upright. But I want that, I need that for the behavior that I want to have. So have this, equals 0 or whatever, and then, oh, well, blah equals blah, and then blah equals blah. So, ground be the same. If we're in midair, I guess, well, even this needs to change. Okay. All these individual checks, I'm probably going to combine into one big thing eventually, once this is more working. But for now, it's just, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So if we're on the ground, our last is going to be, last facing direction is going to be, player dot up, but negative is technically the facing direction that we care about. Yikes. And then up here, this changing from last player direction using, projecting on plane our last player facing direction onto the ground that we're on. So this will be taking the negative up and projecting it onto the ground. That is a thing we want. I don't know what you're trying to think that you want to change into. No. And instead this is going to project on plane player dot up but negative. And the axis is still going to be the ground normal, which will be vector theta up when we're in midair, and I think that's a thing I want. Okay, let's try that. If this doesn't work, then I may, if this doesn't work, then I may, maybe time to call it quits for now, but let's... At the very least... No, I was gonna say when we hit the ground, it stayed the same direction rather than the, like, because there's like a double flip going on, right? Dang, okay. But why? It's like the frame that we go in midair, the camera horizontal angle is, like, that's... Why did it become that? Let me just kind of look at it frame by frame real quick. Let me just... Okay, this would be more helpful when I have, like, when I get the camera turn stuff functional again. If I go with this with some speed, we see that it's, you know, -1. It's like pretty much what it needs to be. And I'm hoping that okay, I was hoping I could step through frame by frame and actually reach the edge. No. Actually, we do slow down faster than I'd like, but I want to see if I can pause it right before I actually go in midair, just to kind of see. So 58, 59. Come on, get there. You can do it. Or not. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, come on. I can do this. Woo. Oh, that should be good. Okay. So it is 13 currently. And that it makes sense as an angle. And then next frame, 13. 13. It went from 13 to 44. So why? When in theory, it should have been using the same stuff. What made it jump from 13 to 34? The bit that does that is... Actually, I guess there are 2 bits that do that I'm not really accounting for both of them. Player.forward and negative player.up. Wait. Should... Well, these should be so similar, though. I guess... Well, it is facing generally the same direction. Wait, it's going down but being right? What? Wait. What? If I said this at 0, and next frame this... Oh! You think 0 should mean that way? That's part of the problem. Okay, that means stuff. That gathers us information. Because obviously that's a big difference, and maybe that's more of the problem. That's something I didn't even consider. So the bit that... Well... The bit that decides what 0 is. What? How do I do this again? If this is 0, then that just means that camera direction uses last grounded negative last grounded up to turn on, to have that be the axis that you turn on, which is, for this slope, why does that change anything? If I temporarily get rid of the code that actually does any changes to this, so it's always going to be 0, then why would that change anything? Let me just have a look. So in theory, it should always, I just want to see it always being 0, which means it's going to always be behind, yeah. But then when we go off a thing, it still flips around. That kind of conceptually throws off some of the stuff I was thinking of, why? So, let me just put a, we're gonna end things off soon. I do gotta go soon-ish, but real quick, if I can just, yeah. So right now grounded is true, and so, what was that one? Player.up, I just want to kind of see this. So it's like 0, you know, 0.91, like whatever, and this is, I guess I never actually tested that this is becoming what I think it should be. So roughly 0.91, negative 0.41 is what it should be when we get to in here. And maybe I then do this and just go, yeah, skip ahead to the first frame of being, yeah. So this first frame, it should be roughly that, which it looks like it is. Then what are you doing? Then what do you mean? Is this, have I, so something must be wrong about how I'm interpreting how these variables should be working. I guess, well, maybe it's starting thing of, well, last grounded forward being that. The vertical angle takes the last right. Takes like basically a snapshot of what it was. I guess I didn't test that camera direction. So like 0.34, 0.14, 0.93. Was it like that before when it was on the ground? I guess if I let the game keep going once we land on the ground and I haven't touched anything, then the place should be facing roughly the same direction, so I can check these against those. So 319. 319-ish. Okay. The look position would change slightly, but should still be the same direction out from that by the same amount. I don't know what the issue is. If I go back to, well, then let's just go. Well, this didn't like change. Oh, no, that's still the same. And then, yeah. Okay. If I skip forward, right, a couple. Now we're on the ground again. Some slightly different things. What was play forward? Oh wait, you're different now. Right? Oh no, sorry. Player.up is what I was carrying about. Which that is. It's going to be a little bit different. I understand it's not going to be exactly the same. Actually, wait. If we're on the ground right now, we should be... or we hit the ground, we take the few frames to turn around. I was going to say it should be perfect like vector theta up, which it's slightly not. I guess that's fine. So out of here, what did you calculate you to be? 4. So that, what I say was like 391 or something. So that's different, which means that that is incorrect. Why, though? I don't know what part changed. Well, okay, here, let me just, okay, set up the situation again, just to kind of, if I can just kind of, I don't think it's gonna be close enough to, hold on, okay, I just need to, I don't know if I temporarily want to like turn down or the like sort of stopping speed. Can I, I don't know if that's a thing I have easily around here. Base speed, gravity, custom drag, set that to like 2. Now we should slide, now just be, make that easier to just kind of force this situation to happen. Oh, that's interesting how that works that way, okay. Yeah, okay, that should be hopefully good, and then I want to put in some breakpoint. Yeah, oops, yeah, Actually, well, here, and then when I want to skip ahead to being in midair, here. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I just look at, like, what's the part that changes? Because this should then be this when we go in midair. It'll change slightly when we hit the ground, but just looking at the first step. So 1, 4, 9. 1, 4, 1, 4, 8. Just look at the exact number. Go ahead another frame. It's gonna be slightly different, right? 1, 4, 9. You know, 1, 4, 9. Wow, it's crazy. That it's insane. Oh wait, well, okay. It was 1, 4, 9. Actually, I went forward a bit. 7, 2, 5. What do you mean? So, how is it because of how I calculate it or something? Let me just look at... Oh, yep. And then here, something like that is fine. And then, put the thing here and then here, and I'll be able to see the frame where it sort of switches. Is it funny you're doing this on like one monitor because I'm streaming? You only gotta kind of go back and forth, so I can, you know, see Unity, like each frame's going forward, but whatever, making it work. So 6, 2, 6. 6, 2, 6. 6, 2, 6. This makes sense. 6, 2, 6. Oh, and it changes. Now it is 1, 4. Why? How has it changed before we get there? So that means this last ground and forward is what's messed up, pretty much. But why? This is the second that we become in air. Well, I guess. Well, this. This would be a frame where we have left the ground. The first frame where we're not on the ground. The turning shouldn't have started yet. It only starts once we detect that we're not on the ground. I just don't know why that's already changed that much. And then, you know, use that stuff for all this. Align to ground. If we are ground, which we would have been last frame, then, like, turn towards ground stuff. And then we go to here, and this is different. Ha! I can still... Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean here that you're still that? What? Oh! The ground check must actually... This... I must be wrong. I assumed that this would be correct. That this would be the same. This transform is probably not the right... Ah, no! Okay, player... Do I have... Hold on. My reference to this is like... Did I do the same instance thing? I did. Okay, let's just... Ah, dang. Yeah, darn. Okay, that's... Oops, not that. Hold on. And I will be anything soon. I just get... We have the potential of a plan. So, dot transform. Actually, get our RB dot forward to be the most... Where's your problem? Oh, that doesn't have a... Okay, fine. This. So then this on all of these. And you know what? While I'm here, it is really... I don't need these right now. I don't need the things in those positions. I just need them here and then save them. And I only use them when we're not grounded, so... Yeah. Okay. Wow. Can't believe this is... I don't actually know why ground detection doesn't match, but whatever. In theory, maybe this will be... Oh my god. Oh my god! Okay, it's not perfect. Okay, it's not perfect. It's not... like, all working. Obviously, right, with the weird camera thing I have turned off. But, like, it's a step in the right direction. That, like, this, whoops, ideal case should have been working and it wasn't. So now I guess I gotta figure out that there was some slight changing. So I guess next step would be able to kind of figure out, like, why that's happening. And I kind of think that that's going to be related to the vertical turning and what's governing that. But if I go sideways and go off, then yeah, it's doing that stuff. And if I, you know, yeah, that's... Yeah, that's definitely related to the vertical turning not behaving properly. But it's slightly better. So before I go, let me just make sure I put the camera back to like actually turning properly, which is that just this? No. What part did that? Oh, it's all the parts that change the angle. So that. Oh, you don't need. Yeah. Okay. Did that too. Okay. Something along those lines. And something like this. So, okay, it's back to not working, but it, you know, turns again, so that's a step in the right direction. When I go off this, like, perfect ramp, the horizontal part seems good, it's just the vertical part that doesn't cooperate, which I don't know why it necessarily doesn't, because when we first hit midair, it should be going off of the same, you know, the freeze frame of what it had, but anyways, I feel like we're closer. Yeah. Still being funky and gotta figure out how to make it be less funky. And I think part of that is a better representation of what counts as being forward, right, and up when the player's in midair, but all, like, sideways and stuff. But we'll figure that out. We'll get there. Eventually, I would love to have, like, animation-wise, like, when we get more polish on the cube, I would like that when the player is flying through the air where the unicycle is sideways, they're, like, partially falling off of it, where, like, you're holding on and, like, flying through the air like that, I think would be great, and then when they land, then they whip back around and then are pedaling again. That'd be a very cool, fun, polished kind of thing to have, but, you know, we'll get there. Which actually does mean that, so hypothetically, in terms of, so right now I haven't, you know, when the player's in midair, I haven't been caring much about, hold on, let me go back to it. I haven't been caring much about, like, the way they've been facing, other than wheel face velocity, than not caring about the rest of this. But maybe I should, and that could help lead towards more consistent stuff that's going to solve my problem. I think that I'm going to want that basically the player, like, the face part always faces upwards, but then it's like, okay, you know, how do I care about that when we're like this? It's like, okay, I guess we're upwards there. But then what happens if we're, you know, going through the air and somehow it changes like this? Do I want to go underneath and then whip around like that? Would that look weird? If we flip around like, you know, now we're falling, I guess we're up. If, you know, if we, you know, become like this, should it whip around like that? Like, should it do that midair? Yes or no? I don't know. It's, a lot of this is just edge cases, dealing with, like, weird... Well, I mean, that's not something that's that much of an edge case, but it's not the usual. I can figure out what should maybe happen in the usual circumstance to get the behavior I want, but it's a lot of weird situations that cause other things to happen. But anyways, yeah, I am far enough over time that I think we've got to end things off, so we're going to do that. But good amount of progress for... So this is a 3-hour stream. I said today was going to be a short stream. Whoa. I'll be right here. Double me. Whoops. As I open up Twitch to find someone to raid. Yeah. So, hold on. Yeah. So, yeah, good stream. Made some good progress, I guess. Solved some of the problems that we were having, kind of, sort of-ish. But still got more to solve, which is unfortunate, but we will figure it out as we, hopefully by next stream, by the time I come back to this, I'll have more ideas. I legitimately might go get, or go, like, you know, load up Ratchet and Clank and progress enough to get to that one level that I can use as reference. I don't know if I'm going to do all that and find it's just a waste of time, and I don't know, we'll see. But, anyway, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Figure out what it is that we're gonna do. I might do some more Googling between now and then. Maybe as a temporary thing, I could turn off the player, like, being sideways in midair and just have them be universal down in midair, and that might, you know, use that, get the camera to work properly in that situation, and once we've done that, then maybe I can then get the player back to be turning and make it work. But I don't know. I would very much like this turning in midair behavior. The weirdness is the one thing that's weird is what is the Y position. But if we're only looking at the forward direction, negative up, then that doesn't affect that part in theory. I don't know, but anyway. Oh, and me doing my outro, I noticed that my viewership is dropped to 1, meaning it's just me. I think the me on my phone watching my own stream, I can tell when it like crashes and stuff. So I guess we won't rate anyone. That's fine. I went to the Unity category. There's not many people streaming Unity stuff right now. Anyway, so that's fine. Okay, so last announcements are tomorrow. I'm hoping will be a longer stream where we will continue Subnautica, and that'll be cool. I guess then day after that would be the Stray speedrun stuff. What's today? Wait, today's Tuesday. Well, we've passed midnight, so tomorrow, today, whatever, Wednesday. Was Stray gonna be Thursday? Was that my plan? I guess so. Doing the speedrunning stuff there, which I gotta still finish setting up the speedrun timer that I want to set up for that. So hopefully I'll have the time to do that. And then after that is gonna be more. So I'm taking Friday off. Then Saturday is gonna be programming with the Rubik's Cube stuff again. And then Sunday was gonna be Subnautica. I have a family thing Monday, so I'll be taking Monday off as well. And then next Tuesday, in theory, we'll be coming back to this. So I have from now until Tuesday to hopefully, if I stick to that schedule and I don't change it, we'll see. I have now till then, in theory, to have closer to a solution to figure out how exactly we're gonna get this to work. If I don't have a good solution for this immediate thing, we might start on some other bits that I know I need to get functional with, like the putting having mouse input actually affect this again. That won't take long. We have that code. I just need to put it in the right spots. And we'll see if that that might introduce more problems as well with this making the camera whip around, making sure that that mouse stuff is accounted for. I think, in theory, when you turn the mouse or move the controller, the idea in theory is just that it just adds or decreases the horizontal angle and end of story. And then up down, increasing or decreasing the vertical angle. That's to start. I don't know to what degree I will. So some 3D platformers do more complicated things with the vertical angle, as we've seen. Different games when you go forward and back, some will be a perfect turning up and down. Some will turn up in a weird angle that goes up in the character's face, but it was looking up, or going kind of zooming in and looking down. Some will just have it be a glorified zooming in and out, or maybe zooming out and moving up, that kind of stuff. I gotta see what I want and what makes the most sense for my game. For now, we're gonna go with the most default. It just changes the orbiting, because that's gonna be the easiest thing and might be best for my game. I kind of have to see, but I mean, doing one of those other options does kind of feel more polished, less default, I guess. So it'd be cool to do something more complicated like that, but we gotta get to work first and foremost. And it's all the horizontal stuff and everything beyond the mouse input things that is more the issue. But anyway, yeah, we'll figure it out. Hopefully. I hope so. But yeah, I got a couple days to figure that out. If I haven't figured it out, if I don't have a better idea by next Tuesday, then I might make that a second stream doing the Rubik's Cube programming stuff. But that can only go on so long. Well, I mean, we're gonna be a lot to do with that, making that more functional. That was having its own potential issues of how I'm gonna make that all functional. But I have that's a smaller scoped thing in theory, and it's I have a more clear idea of how we're gonna do that. And we had some issues that we did kind of solve conceptually, and hopefully that'll go well. Anyways, yeah. So enough rambling for me. We're gonna end things off here for now. Did make good progress, and next time hopefully we'll make more cool progress. I'm very much looking forward to just being more functional, be able to mess around with this whole area and build potentially more stuff to test funky circumstances. And then, having a functional player again will be cool, and then getting back to, actually making level things. We will have to then make this player functional with everything else again, which we already did, some of that, but got to do more of that with the repairing, the pausing, and, all the hub world stuff, and the selecting levels, the, beating and failing levels, the falling off, the stage and, respawning, the things that you can interact with, all the stuff we have in our other testing. Gotta basically make sure all that's still going to be functional with this. Some of that we did set up already. I have to remember what exactly we did or didn't, or what's going to break again, but make sure the camera's going to work with a lot of this stuff too. That is actually a thing that might be, because there's some cases where we, all right, yeah, I will have to make sure that that's going to work. Is that, we are, Some things like the win level screen need to hijack the camera and do stuff, and I gotta make sure that that's gonna be able to be supported by this, which in theory it should be. Yeah, we'll get to that. Anyways, so yeah, we'll get to that as we get to that, but we'll end things off here for now. So that'll do it for this live stream. If you liked it, look forward to more. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you around. All right, see ya!